Hello and welcome to Group E of the round of 24 here at ASL Season 20, brought to you by Google Play and Gravity. With what could only be described as a hectic start to the round of 24 last week, only 2 groups remain to be played as the competition to grab the last 4 spots in the round of 16 continues. Who will succeed in moving on to that round of 16 today? Let's have a word with our players ahead of Group E. Hello. Hi. First up, Group E's Tier 1 player Rush, who did not drop a single map qualifying for this season. That was close, you wrote in your blog, however. What exactly scared the living hell out of you like so in those qualifiers? The player I met in the finals, Haya. I was surprised with how well he played. Those games were kind of close. I barely made it in. That's what I was talking about. Before we knew it, this is your 19th ASL season already. Over the last 4 seasons, you've been making it into the round of 8. I'm sure you'll be ever so hungry for an even higher placement. How are you feeling ahead of your 19th season? I would say right now I'm at my peak in the last 1 to 2 year period. When my form is this good, I just gotta make it far. I'm aiming for the round of 4. Rush says he's hungry as ever this season. Up next we have Tier 4 player ParalyzE. Now for Rush, this is his 19th time, while ParalyzE is joining us for the first time. How does it feel to be playing on stage again after so long? I'm having a hard time adjusting. This is the first time I've actually been here. Everything feels so new to me. I think that is the part I will need to get used to. You're feeling a little out of place, you said in your blog. Nonetheless, in the qualifiers, you took down Mind in the semi-finals and then Bisu in the finals. I have a feeling this might raise the fans' expectations for you. How do you feel about this? I'll be honest with you, I was feeling quite confident in my PVT during the qualifiers. But I looked at the bracket and thought, oh no, Bisu is here too? I had that on my mind, but since I had played a lot during the season regardless, I said, let's try and do well just like in practice. With a bit of luck, I ended up beating him. Looking forward to seeing you play today. And now getting ready to play as a Tier 2 player, it's Jaedong, who will be quite happy seeing he didn't drop a single map in the qualifiers. How are you feeling ahead of today's matches? For starters, I consider the round of 24 to be an extension of the qualifiers. This is a round I certainly need to make it through. And you've certainly been on the up and up recently. While you did have to deal with getting eliminated in the round of 24 both in Season 16 and 17, in Season 18 you made your return to the round of 16 and last season you made it as far as the round of 8. So seeing this upward trend, expectations will be high. What is your take on this? I have a positive outlook. I would like to try and contend for the round of 4 this season. Jaedong says he will aim for the round of 4 this season. And lastly, we have our Tier 3 player Mong, making his return. You have succeeded in qualifying for the tournament proper after quite some time since Season 17. It's been a while. How are you feeling ahead of the games? It has been so long. You know, I have a mousepad I use. It's gotten stiff. It's a mousepad I used in the ASL. That's how long it's been. It's a very tangible feeling of how long I haven't been able to qualify. This feels fresh. Did you bring it? No, I tossed it. I got a new mousepad from Soup. This is what I plan on using today. Got it. When the full-bellied Mong shows up, well, that's something that people are looking forward to. Looking at today's group, do you think you'll be able to show this play style that got you this nickname? For me to be able to play that style of macro into timing, I need to be left alone for some time. But there are a lot of aggressive players in this group. I don't think they will give me that chance. I understand. Well, let's dive a bit deeper with our Group E players. Now, all of the players in Group E made it in through the first round of the qualifiers, which gives them ever so much important momentum going into the main tournament. Did you guys prepare to ride that wave? Let's hear from you one by one. Qualifiers are something you just gotta get through always, is my approach. I have the same feeling about the round of 24 as well. Whether it's first or second place, I'll try and make it through today. The qualifiers were not as obvious of a case for me, you know? So hey, I'll try and make today not as obvious either. I am certain I will advance today. Certain? I will make you work for that certainty. I see. Now, if we take a look at the full round of 24 groups that have been played so far, all Tier 2 players made it through in first place, with 3 Tier 1 players and 1 Tier 3 player to follow. Let's see if this Tier 2 buff extends to Jaedong today as well. I would like to hear from Rush and Jaedong now. Honestly, I'm a little worried too. If we go to the winners match, what is difficult for me is playing heavy production macro on new maps. There's new maps in the winners match. That's what's getting me worried. So I think a second place finish might be on the cards. And Jaedong, please. I usually do struggle against Rush, but you never know in an offline best of one. I think I have sufficient chances of advancing in first place today. Now, Mong is playing a crucial role today in trying to prevent Jaedong from continuing this Tier 2 player boom. And it's a tall order, as his slump against Zerg in the ASL continues, the only outlier being your victory against Shine in Season 17 in the round of 24. Do you think you can break this losing streak today? I'm useless against Zerg, so today is a test for me to see how much I've managed to improve. I need to overcome this. And if I were to beat Jaedong, that would be a confidence booster. Can't wait, let's hear our players' final remarks. I'll make sure to advance today. Thank you. I practiced quite a lot. I'll try to play the way that I practiced and prepared. I will advance today. I prepared diligently, I will work hard. And we've just heard from our round of 24 Group E players. Thank you for the interview. This is ASL Season 20 done in partnership with Google Play and Gravity. Who will succeed in advancing to the round of 16 today? It's time to start Group E of the round of 24.
What's up, everybody? We are here in Group E. This is the 5th day of the ASL. We're still in the round of 24. And what a group we have for you guys today.
This is one of my favorite groups that we have in the round of 24. I think that this is going to be absolutely fantastic today. We have a lot of strong players in this group. ParalyzE is my favorite newcomer in years, really. He is in unbelievable shape if you watch his games day to day. And Jaedong is actually peaking right now. I'm not sure how many people recognize this, but there's like a bunch of other things going on in StarCraft. My favorite is to watch the KCM Survivor Series. And in the last 2 weeks that Jaedong played, he'd got an all-kill and he got a 5-kill, which means he literally killed like 5 of the other best players in the world in a row without dropping a map. Like, he is in unbelievably strong shape.
It's been undeniable that he has been very hungry to reclaim that position he had in the past, to be one of the most dominant, terrifying players in the entire StarCraft ecosystem. And he's looked really good in many of the seasons we've had of ASL, but he never quite got to the position he was in before. Now, obviously, currently, with the last 4 ASL wins going to Sulky, Sulky is the king of StarCraft. He's the best player in the world. Flash is still not competing, and on some level, I would be surprised if Flash were able to take on Sulky in the shape he's in. But Jaedong is not going to be satisfied with the positions he's been in the last couple of seasons. He wants to try to cut through and go all the way and take an ASL. And by the way, if he were to win an ASL, that might be the best thing that could ever happen to ASL. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Tastosis?
100%. Jaedong has the same star power as someone like Flash, but he hasn't won an ASL yet. And if he gets back into prime shape, Like, first off, Jaedong, I put money on him against Sulky. Don't even start anything. Jaedong is by far the best Zerg vs. Zerg ever to have lived. So, like, he has chances. He has been one of the strongest performing Zergs over the past year, without any question. He has had weaknesses in his Zerg vs. Terran that have been glaring, but he's improved that a lot right now. He is much better Zerg vs. Terran than he has been in the past. So, yeah, I'm very excited to see how he does in this group. This group is such a killer group, guys. Like, this can really go any which way. All 4 of these players are very, very strong right now, in great shape.
Of course, Rush is, in many ways, the strongest Terran that's been in ASL. You know, we talked about Light a lot, and obviously he was one of them as well. We've had players like JYJ, many others who've looked extremely strong, but Rush has basically been the most consistent. He has gone deep in many ASLs, and it doesn't seem like there's any one player who can easily beat him. I do expect him to get out first. If Jaedong were to beat him here in this first game, that would be insane. But yeah, Rush definitely, easily a top 4 ASL player in any given season.
You can't disagree with that. I don't even remember last time he wasn't round of 8. He's...
Yeah.
In fact, more so than like even Action that we always talk about. It's like, oh, this guy's just always round of 8. But yeah, that's really Rush. He's now on the short list with people like Best and Snow and Hero, where it's like, well, these guys really should win a championship. You know, like these guys, it almost feels like they've been snubbed, but this isn't some stupid award show. This is actually like, if you're good enough, you'll win. But those guys feel like they're good enough to have a championship already. But yeah, without doubt, like I think Rush has the perfect style for ASL as well. You know, Light is a little up and down, even though he's been performing very well. So there's arguments that he's the strongest Terran in ASL, though I would still give the edge to Light.
Yeah, well, case in point is that he is just so consistent and on top of everything. I do think he gets out of this in first place. Doesn't seem to have any kind of obvious weaknesses. Seems to be very studio and stage ready when he comes down here. Very focused, very zeroed in. Doesn't need to warm up. Doesn't seem to choke. Doesn't seem to get nervous. All of that. So, you know, obviously a player we expect to move on. If I had to rank him, I'd say the strongest player in the group easily. Doesn't mean we couldn't have upsets. Like you said, Tastosis, this is actually a very strong group. It's not the standard powerhouse group you might try to mix together if you were going to make a group of death, but I think there's a lot of sleepers here, and ParalyzE is one of them. This guy's very strong. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs here in his PVT going into this, but this guy has played very well online. He's very modern in his play.
Yeah.
I think he does bring a little bit of his own flavor here, so this should be a fun match to cast.
He's very much what Ruin was a couple years ago, where he's like hyper modern. He plays the speed shuttle style against Terran specifically. This guy was a pro. He's from SK Telecom, and he has some stage experience on this stage, not in ASL, but he has made GSL in the past. You guys might remember him. He was nicknamed Afro Toss. He was the Protoss that had an afro back in the day. But yeah, he's really strong, and I think he's going to outperform what people expect. But it's such a tough group that, you know, anyone could not make it out. So you can't really expect him to just make it out his first go at ASL.
Okay, guys, we're going to go to the map dominator here for Game 1. Rush versus ParalyzE. Let's do this. Okay, Rush here in the center right, and ParalyzE down in the bottom left. Very curious to see what kind of games ParalyzE is going to bring. I think he's going to be in good shape and probably bring a good performance, but best of ones are brutal. You know, this guy has not had the same kind of stage time as Rush, and few pro gamers have, to be honest. Rush has consistently gotten extremely deep in ASL so many times, it would be crazy to not have him in a round of 8. But, you know, he's got one game, one strategy he can bring out here. Will he do something a little bit crazy and cheesy? I think this is a map where you can get away with some pretty wild stuff. Is he going to go more for a macro play?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I would expect that he's going to go for his standard, which is Reaver-based play. Like, he really likes opening up with Reavers. He just plays very modern, lots of speed shuttles. StarCraft fan for more than 20 years. I love the ASL. Where is Flash?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so
Flash?
much, man. Good to see.
We're saying the same thing. When is Flash going to come back?
That's everyone's number one question about ASL is when Flash will come back. I said it, I think, yesterday, but my gut is that he'll be back next year. I don't know Season 1 or Season 2, but it seems, based on what he said, that he'll probably be back next year.
Afro toss.
There he is.
So, just while we're on the topic of Flash, before the game picks up, this has been a thing with a lot of pro gamers, is announcing retirement and then coming back. This has happened outside of Korea, too. Tastosis and me have joked about it a lot. But, Flash has said he's going to retire, came back, also announced he was going to come back, and then didn't come back like he did this time. There was like a whole video announcing it, and it ended up not happening. But I would imagine we will see him in another season or two here. I'm very curious to see what ASL will look like with that. StarCraft, it's funny because we always talk about how the game's never going to go away, but I think anybody who's really active when they play knows that they need to be playing a lot to be up to date with everything if you're a player. It's one thing to be a fan and a viewer and kind of enjoy the stories and the strategies unfold, but like even in like the months that I take off, because I kind of play in these waves. I have 2 months of hardcore StarCraft, then I stop, then I come back for the 2. It's about a week of me just trying to catch up to the basic stuff on the ladder that's changed.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how Flash would do if he was to be hurled back into an ASL where things are so crazy.
Well, he's cooking stuff right now, Tasteless. Like, he's playing a lot of pro leagues and stuff, and like. He actually has a new Terran vs. Zerg Valkyrie build that's insane. I saw him smash Sulkian's Queen the other day with it. I tried to do it myself, Tasteless, and fell apart. It's such a weird, hard-to-use build. I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't copy the stuff Flash can do. Only he can make 3 missile turrets and block mutas perfectly. But no, he's in great shape now. Everything is just lining up for Brood War to just be perfect. Like, everything is so exciting at the moment, and there's so many players that are working really hard to improve themselves right now, ParalyzE being one of them.
Well, the game's in a very good spot in Korea. We've got a lot of new players coming on board. I haven't checked viewership for StarCraft on Soup in a little bit, but it has been the #1 game, beating League of Legends as far as people watching at times. I think only to be interrupted by major tournaments for League. But
nothing gives me more hope for humanity than that statement, Tasteless, that it's StarCraft 1 viewership is beating out League of Legends. I'm like, you know what? The human race is all right. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, if you're going to have just people playing the game, and there's a lot of online competitive matches, but just people streaming a lot of time from their home personal streams, the numbers have been extremely good. So it's not shocking when the streams are that big. It just means a lot of people are playing. We're in kind of a double monitor world nowadays, where everybody's playing a game and usually has something up on their second monitor. I wouldn't be surprised if people are playing StarCraft at home while this is up on their second monitor, or playing another game and enjoying this. But yeah, I mean, there's a great argument for this game being in one of the best spots it's ever been in.
Yeah.
So just to go into this game here, this was a pretty quick Nexus. I believe it was rangeless Dragoon into Nexus with a quick Robo. This is pretty popular nowadays on ladder. I think Nexus first has declined slightly. Not a ton, because it's a good build, but it seems like gateway openings have gotten a little bit more trendy here.
They have. I actually am not entirely sure why that is, but I definitely run into less Nexus first right now. I think Terrans in general have gotten pretty comfortable at playing against Nexus first, but that doesn't make it like a weaker build necessarily. But you're definitely right on that. That's like, that has been a trend that we are seeing more of the gateway openers. Look at how many mines he has around there. My God.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing a mine layout quite like this one. This is a little bit different. He's basically making sure that there's only one spot you can expand to, and he'll have enough vultures that he can always plow through there and kill the probe. So the would-be Nexus was denied. The vultures glided through and sniped that probe. Protoss can't expand onto the mineral only. If you can, you never want to take the mineral only base unless you're forced to, because it's extremely pushable from where the Terran is. If the Terran can set up onto the high ground, you're going to lose that Nexus.
It's the easiest thing to kill on the map, basically. So I can't disagree with you there. This is actually a 3-gate observer opener, but we don't see ParalyzE trying to like push it quickly. He's sending his first observer straight across as opposed to clearing mines out. Rush did get speed very quickly, so like if he had pooled all his Dragoons and went instantly, he might have been able to get some damage. Now that's no longer the case, but you know, the timing of this third Nexus is very strong, and you know, these are just like pretty standard openers, really, from both sides.
Yeah, it's a very, very normal game here. Vulture's going to try to go in for a dive. They're blocked. And, you know, ParalyzE hasn't shown us any clear definitive tech. Artosis was saying earlier, how many shots can you miss? Okay, there we go. Artosis was saying earlier that he tends to go for that speed shuttle robo style, which is really strong, by the way. It's very tough for Terran to ever push out versus that. You basically have to turtle up like crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is a very standard-looking PVT here. Nobody's done anything out of the ordinary. It's very textbook. Both of these builds, very good to copy. The only, I guess, major thing that's happened is that the third base has been taken a little bit later than you would have wanted because of the vulture pressure. But that doesn't even necessarily mean that ParalyzE is behind. Also, ParalyzE has an observer on top of the factories. So he knows exactly what kind of game this is. If you see more factories, you know there's not a command center, which means you're either going to have a push or a later expand.
Yeah. You know, I've casted on my casting YouTube, like, so many games of ParalyzE, like really an absurd amount because he's so strong and he just plays a ton of ladder. So I just run into him a lot. And I will mention that I can tell that he's got a little bit of nerves here. For instance, his shuttle was finished and his support bay wasn't done. So like just slight little inaccuracies that you normally don't see in his game have added themselves in here. You know, I think Rush's quick vulture speed and the fact he's picked off like 3-ish probes so far, probably stressing him lightly, but it doesn't look like terrible or anything. But I do feel like I'm seeing a ParalyzE playing with a little bit of nervousness in him.
Does seem like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he's going to have the first Reaver out here in a minute. And ParalyzE is playing a tight game. No fourth base yet, and obviously no fifth base either. But he's basically powered up. He doesn't want to make a move until Terran makes his move. And Terran needs to decide, am I going to take a late base, which he is, by the way. We now see the command center. Or am I going to try to do a push? And ParalyzE is going to basically sit back and be ready for a 2-base push until he can confirm this base, this new expansion is going to go down here.
Rush has gone command center relatively quickly in his natural here off of just 4 factories. He's just been rotating the vultures around. I kind of like the way that Rush is playing this. I'm like trying to like kind of memorize what I'm seeing because I really like Rush's style in general. I think he plays overall the most fun, overall strongest style that you really can with Terran right now in this matchup. Just the fact that he's really active with vultures, but does a very solid macro base behind it. And you can see he's just kind of like, okay, we're going to build this up over time. You know, just slowly push out and make sure that everything is under control. And ParalyzE, he hasn't really engaged yet. You know, it looks like he's going to bring out his Reavers to slow this slightly. And that's nice, like a nice move right there, but not a lot of interaction for him.
Now, if the Goliaths get the range upgrade, it's very strong versus the shuttles because they can be sniped and the Reavers can't really play keep away here. He's going to unsiege. He's going to try to push. I think he realizes the Reavers might be a little bit out of position. He's going to scan. He's got that range upgrade, so he's just hitting that shuttle. which now has hull damage, no shields left on that. Terran's going to expand not to the mineral only, but actually to the base that mirrors the position that ParalyzE took on his side of the map. And at the same time, ParalyzE is expanding towards the Terran. This is that very, very punishable base. He doesn't seem to have Zealot speed just yet. Brings in the shuttles and then backs out again. And it seems like Rush is going to relocate and reposition, potentially making this third base position pretty weak.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this form. Like, I like the initial push off just to get him back, but now ParalyzE dives in to try to stop this expansion. Now, he doesn't have Zealot legs, so it's a little bit hard to get up here quickly. The Reavers get mostly picked off. There is one left that he did save there. Gets a really good scarab right there, and actually he will get on top of a lot of these siege tanks, but he's going to end up losing a huge chunk of his army.
God, slow Zealots. It almost seemed like slower Zealots. It was painful to watch them try to run up there. You know, that could cost ParalyzE the game. You really have to be careful in the early game that you basically take only exchanges that really let you come out on top, because if Terran wins that fight, when their upgrades kick in, you're going to have that much less. We don't have probes at this fourth base. I think it should be done. And, I mean, this is just looking really rough, Tastosis.
Yeah, it's not looking super good for ParalyzE at the moment. It's too bad because his Zealot legs finished like right after that attack. If he had had Zealot legs during the attack, he actually would have killed like 5 more tanks. Not even joking. That's like the difference between Zealot legs and not. Zealots without legs are the least scary thing in the whole world, except at the very beginning of the game. They're like basically just garbage. Every Terran unit ends up beating them. So yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate to see. He is getting ready for a 5th base. There is a mine in the way, which is a bit annoying, so very likely Rush will run up and snipe that probe. And Rush's macro is really hitting. Like 147 against 163 right now at almost 13 minutes. This is a position, you die to get in this position as a Terran player.
Yeah. ParalyzE is powered up quite a bit. He's got all those gateways. Did he get a second robo? I actually didn't see one yet.
I didn't notice.
So it might just be this.
He normally does, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has one or will get one soon.
Sometimes Protoss players get that second robo really late. And when I say late, I don't mean like it was supposed to be taken earlier. I just mean that, you know, it's like kind of the end game tech is now you just have lots of shuttles. I think it's still in a kind of experimental phase here with people trying different approaches to how to get it out. And so now the push is going to come. Rush is realizing, okay, the Reaver's over here. It's harassing my base. It can't be aided in trying to slow down this push. And so he's just going to start to leapfrog the tanks.
I think ParalyzE has done a good job pulling back here into the middle of that high ground. He needs the tanks to go to low ground for the engage to work correctly. He can't engage while Rush has that position. But if Rush moves into the middle, I think ParalyzE can stop this push. He is maxed out now.
So, with the speed shuttles, you start to get Templars. And Templars are basically your endgame unit. It sounds funny, especially if you're used to seeing carriers or arbiters, but if you can drop 1 or 2 Templars here and there and get a few storms off, over time you're going to chew up their army, and that was exactly what I'm talking about. All that damage onto those tanks. What the Protoss wants to do now is hit, and right when the Zealots start to run out, actually this is kind of a funny looking attack. I think there's a bad hotkey here. You want to, as the Zealots begin to disappear, pull away with your Dragoons. You basically want like 10 Dragoons, and the rest of it is Zealots, and then shuttles with Templars in it. And any opportunity you can, once you've gotten a very large amount of Zealots in the army, you run in there, you drag mines in. If you can drop Zealots on tanks, you do that too. As the Vultures and tanks are firing shots into the Protoss army, what you want to do as the Protoss is drop the Templars out, shoot a storm out, and pick it back up to keep it alive to be used again.
I think he did that engage about as well as he could. You know, he didn't really have too much of an advantage or anything there. But I even liked the sacrifice of like the 7 or 8 Zealots at the end, because those were the tanks that got stormed. So he did finish those off, which was good to reduce the siege tank count. But the bad thing here is that Rush is taking his time. This is exactly what Rush needs to do, is just kind of sit and reinforce, because he lost a big chunk of his army. So did ParalyzE, but ParalyzE will like remax a little bit quicker, right? Like Zealots will be out there and he'll be able to crush it. So staying in his entrenched position and bringing his reinforcements up and continuing the push, this is like perfectly played by Rush.
Okay, he's going to come in now. He loses the shuttle. I don't know if that was the one with the Templars or if there was a second one. Maybe this is the one with the Templars here. The Zealots, they need to stay in the front. You do not want to let these Dragoons take any damage. And it feels like maybe he led a little bit poorly there. The Templars are going to come out. Maybe not the best storm. I think now ParalyzE is going to die. I think this is just one game where Rush is better at macro, better at control, better at decision-making. It's less about pointing to one thing, although I guess when he did attack up the ramp with the slow Zealots, that's probably the biggest mistake of the game.
Yeah, 100%.
But, you know, Rush just looked way stronger overall here and kind of brushed off any move that ParalyzE had.
I think that's exactly it, that attack into the third base. Like, Legs finished right after he lost all those units. I think he should have just pulled back and maybe put pressure on elsewhere, taken a 5th Nexus, that type of thing. Like, you really can't engage Terran. Unless you're sure you're going to crush it, you can't engage until Zealot Legs are done. It's just, so much goes wrong. Every time we see that, the Protoss gets completely destroyed. So he's going to continue to try to get something done. He flies in with a bunch of Zealots bombing out, but it doesn't really matter because he has no splash damage in here. If he had 2 Storms, okay, maybe that does something, but... Oh! Well, I guess that was a bait. That was actually really good. The Storms, but his supply is getting way too low here.
Yeah, it would have helped had that storm drop happened before Terran got this big.
Yeah.
But now, you know, the Terran has basically built out what they needed. Losing SCVs is never good. And, you know, the truth is ParalyzE is expanding to a lot of the upper part of the map, but there's no gateways there. So, okay, hold on. We're going to have Act 2 here, Tastosis.
That's an insanely good... Like, he's doing great with the Storm Harass now. But it's really late. The only thing is, like, if he could break this army, the game could still be his, because Rush is only on 3 bases. You know, Rush is, like, a little bit all in right now. He's lost a ton of workers. He doesn't have an additional command center, as far as we know. Like, maybe he built it somewhere and we'll float it out, but that's rare in these positions. Normally you build on location. But I just don't see him breaking this army. This army looks way too strong. The push is so methodical from Rush. Like... But yeah, if he clears that, then it becomes a really interesting game again.
Yeah, but if he doesn't clear this, he's contained. And it's a fairly simple game for Rush from that point on. You know, one of the more annoying parts about playing Brood War in a situation like this is having to re-rally the gateways. Because you're on, like, you know, 10 or 12 gates, and they're all rallied to right where the siege line is.
Yeah. Well, that's what this is like actually how you win games. If you look at how Terran versus Protoss games are won, it's you push the natural, and then they have to resettle the rallies, and they don't have unit movement, and that's like 90% of good TVP wins are exactly a push that looks like this.
More storms coming down here. Unfortunately, Rush just has such a fortified position. He can just send out groups of tanks over here. The gateways are going to be remade in the upper left main. Generally, that's the win condition for Protoss, is can you get a bunch of gateways up there and kind of have your army split where Terran can never really contain you. But I think we're kind of too far away from that. Plus, this is a low ground to high ground situation from where you start. Oh my god.
It's a crazy Reaver.
Yeah.
Dude, that Reaver is just killing everything. Oh my god, such a good Reaver. But everything is dying here for ParalyzE. He really doesn't have much of anything at this point.
Yeah, the tanks are chipping away at the Nexus at the natural. The third is taking a ton of damage here too. It looks like the pylon wall will save the probes, at least for now. And we've got 4 gates over here in this other main. He's got Templars he's dropping here. You take any storm you can get right now. Just try to thin out that army. Remember that right now it's still a Terran on 3 base that lost a decent amount of SCVs. Positionally, Terran, it's better for him. But, you know, he's hurting economically. If he has a couple more poor fights, if he can't stop this push that's headed up to the north, maybe he loses.
There's just not enough units on the map to stop these pushes that Rush is going to do. He's got the containment up. A lot of shuttles have gone down. A lot of the units that were on the map have gone down. So I just don't see any way to stop the other Nexuses from dying. Like if the entire army of ParalyzE could just be like recalled to the center of the map, he might be able to parry some of these little pushes that are going to kill his Nexuses. But I don't see how he can do that. It's just everything is kind of stuck. Just a few units are coming out of that top left. Like here he's got just a handful of Dragoons. He picks off a couple tanks, but it's not really going to slow down Rush very much here.
DTs could be handy here.
Yeah.
In games that get as chaotic as this one, you know, sometimes, oh, nice, storm drops here. Hey, man, hold up.
That's really good. Oh, well, oh, man. Oh.
That was painful. Oh, my God.
Well, his hands are automatically, yeah, his hands are, he like sees vultures going after the High Templars, so his hands automatically put them in the shuttle and the Goliaths kill it, and it's like, I understand. We all do things like that sometimes. Yeah. It's painful to see.
So the gateways are up in that other main, and, you know, the base, I guess the truth is actually Protoss has lost so many bases. After this base is taken out, oh my God.
That's so painful, man.
Tanks actually got that shot off. Yeah, I was going to say, when he loses this base, it's going to be one location at the very top that's isolated with the 4 gates. I thought ParalyzE put up a good fight.
Yeah.
It did seem like Rush is just a stronger player, better stats overall in every, you know, conceivable metric. He's just a better player. And, you know, that's why Rush wins. He goes on to the winner's match.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Rush and Light are really the two Terrans that you want to avoid. You know, they are the two that just consistently can beat anyone. So, yeah, that was kind of rough for ParalyzE in some ways, but I think he did show some good skills there as well. And we'll see what he can do in that loser match later on. But first, we got to do the second match. Jaedong against Mong is going to be coming up, and I think that this is going to be a very important one for Jaedong. Mong generally does macro-esque Marine builds, which is normally what Jaedong is a little bit weak to, but he's improved himself against those. So I'm hoping that he can show that here and move on to that winner match.
It's going to be a fun one. Very curious to see how Jaedong's going to perform here. And, yeah, Rush. I mean, expect this guy to get out first. If he doesn't get out first in this group, no matter who he's against, it would be an upset. But I think we're probably just going to see that happen here. He should be moving on. And, of course, our Protoss player is not eliminated. He'll be here in the losers match. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, Jaedong versus Mong.
For the best, made for who you can be. For esports pros, any miss can mean defeat. That's why the Death Adder V4 Pro has everything lined up. A fast ergonomic design, a quantum leap in speed, optical tracking for pixel-perfect scrolling, and a sensor more precise and intelligent than any other. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
ASL continues on here. This is Group E, and we just saw Rush have an amazing performance here in his TVP. Always looking strong. I don't think there was any one mistake I could even point to in that game, Tastosis.
Not really, yeah. I mean, I think he could have probably taken his fourth a little bit faster there. I think that was probably the only thing that really stood out to me. Everything else, it seemed like he did a really, really fantastic job on. But yeah, a great game there from Rush, and I think ParalyzE still has a chance to show something good in that loser match. But this next one, like, this one's really, really important for Jaedong. Like, he needs to show that he can beat, like, a standard, straightforward marine pressure type Terran player here in the ASL. He's been doing it recently in other matches, but that's really where he's been falling short in ASL. A lot of his eliminations are just like he doesn't have the right defense when a bunch of Marines and medics hit. So I think that's how Mong will probably play. He's really just a mechanical player. He's like, yeah, he's kind of like flat.
Making games that are in very high-risk scenarios for him work out. He's definitely brought that in his modern play, but it has backfired on him. He has definitely overextended a couple times. He has definitely, despite looking really scary and really good, like a player that can kind of push through it, will come out on top. I think this is going to be a really even fight. It's a tough one to call. Mong is extremely strong, very hard to go up against. Always looking like a player that could take almost anybody on here in an ASL.
Yeah, and looking extremely suave here today. But yeah,
yes.
Mong can cause upsets. Like I don't think we're ever going to see Mong in the round of 8. But like a round of 16 is not outside of his grasp. Mechanically, he's extremely good. Like he can make a ton of units. It's just he's not. I don't know. There's something there missing. Like, you know how Rush sat?
Oh, it's Firebat Hero.
Like,
I just realized he's right in the front
yeah,
row.
there he is. I was too busy
Yeah.
looking at that crazy picture of Mong where it looked like he had like a mustache like wrapped around his face. FBH, man, he's great. Everyone loves that guy.
Yeah, he's huge in YouTube now, making various videos about build orders or bugs in StarCraft.
Yeah, he makes
great
some
guy.
of the best stuff, really. Great content from him.
Sometimes, like, I'll see a content creator that I recognize, but they're in, like, a civilian setting, and I don't recognize them immediately. That's exactly what happened there. I'm like, I know that face. Who is that guy? Anyways, Tastosis, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I don't know. I'm ready for this series, Tasteless. Let's get into it.
Okay. Mong here in the center right, Jaedong in the bottom left. Because we forgot to mention the plug in game 1, we're going to bring it up here real quick, guys. It's time to get mom or dad's credit card, okay? Now you need the last you need the last 3 numbers on the back of the credit card in order for that Patreon payment to go through. Okay? Sign up for a year, do the right thing. Support our endeavor here to bring the history, the present and the future of StarCraft to the world. We would love to earn your support. Patreon.com/ASL English.
That's really funny, Tasteless, because I think StarCraft, unlike other esports, like in other esports, I'm like, yeah, go get your parents' credit cards. It's more likely, I think, someone watching StarCraft might be a parent because it's like an older audience. You know what I mean?
All right, I'll change it. Are you ready? All right, guys, time to get your kid's credit card. All right, go down there. They can't stop you. You're the parent.
That's true. That's true.
And when they go, why am I negative $30 in my bank account? I only had $100. You go, well, you're a tier 3 sub on Patreon. So there's that.
There you go.
I tried to raise you right.
It's perfect. All right. Mong here going for a wall-in, so pretty standard stuff. Jaedong going to go for hatch first. Okay, nothing crazy, nothing cheesy to open. No surprise there, though. Those will be the very fringe builds.
Why is he making the barracks? The depot, I feel like that should have been up one, and then a depot below that depot, and then the barracks, but the placement seems different. Why is that?
Yeah, so on this spot, so they changed how these walls work. There's going to be a hole below the racks. This way, the Marines pop out on the inside. Otherwise, they'll pop out on the front of the barracks, outside of the wall, which isn't necessarily terrible. Like, you can get them to go back, but it's more likely to be picked off. This is just, like, slightly safer. Also, like, let's say you wanted to do a Marine Medic 2 racks Academy rush. Having a hole in the wall in general is sometimes better so that you can just immediately leave and you don't have to lift and lose time. But yeah, it has mostly to do with where those spawn. They eliminated the easy-to-make tight walls on this map for Terran.
Got it. Didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep.
So that explains that placement.
Yep.
JD is about to finish up his pool here. We'll see a layer starting momentarily. Mong is going for a very fast command center. There's no way for Jaedong to generate any threats on the map just yet. You can see he's immediately started that that layer now upon the spawning pool finishing. And the moving shot's been pretty good from Jaedong. This SCV at about half health, maybe a little bit more, 35 HP, I think. And the sooner he gets rid of that, you know, the more of a guessing game it's going to be here for Terran. Even though most of the time you look at this and go, okay, this is going to be fast mutas.
Mong did send out a secondary SCV, so he'll probably loop around with that, is my guess, and double-check what's happening as this SCV gets chased away. Like, I think he's actually waiting for Lings to come out, and then he's going to run or something like that. But actually, he's going so far to the top left. He might think that this is going to be a fast third base, but that's not, like, it's weird to send the SCV already to check on that. Like, you can actually just keep your SCV alive in the main and kind of figure it out. It's like, okay, are you going to make a third? Are you going to make Lings? But he does check that and sends it back down. Fast factory here from Mong. Okay, so this is not going to be a standard bio play. This might possibly be Flash's new Valkyrie build. I'll let you know as we progress forward, but Mong takes a lot of strategies and builds from Flash. So that wouldn't surprise me. Like, Flash has had really good success with it lately against the top Zergs, so it might be that.
So he takes the SCV out. It's going to be a powering phase here for Terran. We have the drone being sent out on the map. In the last few years, there's been a lot of interesting ideas about where the drone is supposed to go. In the earlier ASLs, you always took the other main and put a lurker there to defend at the ramp. And I think Terran's got so good at preempting that and just making that difficult. Now we see a naturals taken, which allows you to get the main later on. It's harder to defend. We've had unusual spots for a third base where it's neither a main or a natural. It's more of a, I don't know, it could be like the third, or, you know, the fourth base for the player that would have spawned at the top. You know what I mean? We've got a lot of weird locations taken here. And this forces Terran to scan and try to figure out what kind of game they're in. When Ling speed's done, it's really difficult for Terran to ever get out on the map. Marines can get surrounded and killed. You know, so you have to scan. And if you can't figure out where the expansion is, you don't really know what kind of game you're getting yourself into.
That's very true. You gotta be able to find that pretty quickly. Now, a little update. This is not Flash's Valkyrie build. This is something else. He is making vultures with it. So, like, there's definitely a lot of Valkyrie builds where we do see, like, a vulture opener into Valkyrie and then maybe into mech later on. I think that's probably what it will be. Now, these two vultures coming out skirt just around the mutas. I think those mutas barely didn't see him. And if he can run in and get some damage with those while the mutas are over here just checking for missile turrets, that's going to be really good for Mong. And here he goes.
Okay, he's got a block. And this means these vultures can't quite get out. They're going to take a decent amount. Yeah, in fact, they only got 2 drones. So a nice play there by Jaedong to basically keep those back, punishing the vulture. Another one was sent out across the map, but it was spotted. The Valkyries here, we have to keep mentioning this until the Terran players get better about it, but we have seen so many Valkyries picked off either by Mutas or Scourge in this ASL. It is a very difficult unit to control. It's one of these units you want to just get a lot of, and then they can kind of win fights no matter what happens. But when they're singled out like this, they can be very weak. So this one has to stay over these 2 turrets and not overextend. And so far, really good control here by Mong.
But he hasn't shot even once. Like, he lost a lot of SCVs. He got no shots up there. He was trying to get some shots off. He was also trying to get the Mutas to run because one Valkyrie can't really do it. But like he was like, you could see the micro. That's what the micro looks like, except they'll slide backwards while they shoot. It's actually it's kind of hard micro, and no one puts in a ton of time. Only, in my opinion, only Flash and Light are good at Valkyrie micro. They're the only ones that consistently kill stuff. What?
I was so excited to see the Valkyrie not be picked off.
Yeah.
That it wasn't until you pointed out it never fired a shot that I realized. I was like, oh, I guess you're right. Because in my head, I'm just like looking at this and thinking, is he going to be overextended? Is it going to turn around slowly and get hit by Scourge? But you're right. It basically just watched with its mouth agape as the Mutas flew through there and just did a ton of damage. And it was like controlled okay, minus the fact it never attacked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he didn't lose it, so that's one thing. But literally 0 damage output from the Valkyrie so far. That is kind of funny, actually.
It's a hard unit to control. It's funny. When you get enough, you know, the spray damage is so high that like it doesn't matter if you don't have like a an Overlord or a when they get to this number, this is where there's not a lot you can do. You can't really out micro it either because that spread damage, it blankets the area so much that everything just dies at the same time. So look, he's got them out now. He's going to move out with the Volks and try to see, you know, if he can maybe start a push here and how much damage can he do. The Muta count is looking pretty healthy. I think some of these Mutas might have been the injured ones who were sent back to stay out of that control group.
I think Jaedong is in a really good spot here. Like, this is the build that Mong has done is a pretty, like, well, Valkyrie builds in general are a bit all-in nowadays. They've really fallen off because of that, because as soon as the Zerg identifies it, it's like, okay, well, if we get lurkers, you lose. And he's going to get lurkers. There's so few Marines out. He has 1 million Valkyries. So, like, the air is going to be no issue for him. Even losing one here doesn't really matter that much. Like, the Mutas will be shredded. And, you know, maybe he'll even be able to get Overlords and stuff. But I don't think Jaedong is scared of dying in the slightest.
He's going to put pressure up here, but 3 lurkers is really hard to beat. He positions them in such a way it's, you know, just not a fight you can take easily. Nice control there. Actually takes the Scourge out. He can go for the Overlord now here too. Remember, you know, if he can find an isolated group of Overlords that can't be defended, they will all die. It's way worse than even fighting Corsairs because, you know, the entire group will be wiped out almost immediately. The Corsair damage is much more condensed into a tight little ball where this is much more spread out. Jaedong's going to go across the map, though. And it looks like he's going to try to pick off any reinforcements. And again, the Mutas count is so high. This Scourge count so high. He's going to come in. He's going to hit. He takes out 1, which leaves 3 more here. And Jaedong decides to back up.
It's going to go into a mech switch from here. And yeah, the Valkyries have done well enough against the Mutas. They haven't been phenomenal, but at least he still has a few, and the Mutas are pretty damaged. Looks like a dropship is out to try to utilize these Marines and medics a little bit better. But, like, I would imagine Jaedong understands that this is going to be a mech switch. Oh, man, he even saw the dropship. That's so funny. Oh! Okay, well, he stops those, but... I mean, there's no way this drop does anything, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's going to take out that, and so that's going to be just 1 left over. I guess there really aren't that many units here to defend. We're going to see lurkers basically burrow, and then the Marines just run away and pick a fight from a better advantage here. The Spire is actually a target that would be really juicy to take on. Mong actually setting up a really nice situation here, considering he's switching to mech. He's really keeping the Zerg busy.
But Jaedong is going to take this base. He's under no threat of any push. The Marines that are remaining aren't really going to do anything. And in fact, he's even going to pick off this last Valkyrie. So there's actually now potential for a re-switch into mutas. If like the siege tank count starts getting high and you don't see any Goliaths out, there's no good anti-air any longer for Mong. He's got like this little group of Marines and medics, and that's just about it.
Okay, the Vulture is going to come here and litter this area with mines. And this tech switch, I mean, Zerg isn't that big yet, right? Like, Zerg really has just now taken their 4th base. That's going to be finishing soon. The mutas are the only thing that can really fight on the map, and Terran has enough Marines, he can basically chase this around. Surely we're going to have Goliaths come out here in a moment. You know, and with the missile range, the mutas can't really engage at all anymore.
You know, if he makes Goliaths right now, like that's actually a really bad position for Terran. So when you think about the way that mech functions, so if you open mech, you always open with Goliaths. You get your anti-air out of the way because mutas are so strong. If you transition into mech, it's either off of a standard bio opener that has vessels out with some Marines and medics already, so that's your anti-muta, or it's off a Valkyrie opener like this one. But he's lost all of the Valkyries. So you're right, he probably has to make some Goliaths, but Goliaths don't further your position at all with mech. Goliaths are an important, like, support unit, but right now what you need to do is lay 1 million mines and then get a ton of siege tanks going. So if he's having to make a bunch of Goliaths to counter these mutas, like, his build is pretty jacked at that point. Like, that's really not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to still have 3, 4, 5 Valkyries out so that the mutas are a non-issue. So, like, the game looks okay right now. Mong has gotten up to 4 bases. He's got a good factory count. He's getting upgrades. Those are all positives. But I look at this position, and I think that Jaedong has the actual advantage here.
I think that was some great analysis, Tastosis. I didn't really appreciate that until you pointed it out. That, like, yeah, if you start out with mech, you always make mass Goliaths. But if you're forced into making Goliaths in too high a number in a game like this, you're probably not going to be equipped with the other stuff that Zerg has. So he's got some Goliaths coming out. The mutas are still able to isolate them and fight them off. He's also getting a Radiate. That's another thing that's going to be great to use against the mutas to kind of push them away. Mong is up in supply. Both sides are on 4 bases. We are in the phase of the game where Terran will probably get a 5th. Actually, as I said that, I think 6 o'clock is being acquired by Mong now. And this is where the game looks kind of funny because it switches roles to where the Zerg is very, very turtled up and safe and hard to kill. And the Terran is going to be spread out on the map trying to take bases. But when the Ultralisks come into play, well, I guess if he's going mech, you know, how many Ultralisks will he really get here? What exactly does Zerg want to do in this moment? Just get Queens and try to brood lead the tanks?
There's a lot. Well, that is what he's doing, and that is the right play. I'm surprised we even have an Ultralisk Cavern, honestly, but yeah, he's going to just utilize Dark Swarm and single Lurkers, and that will hold indefinitely against the siege tank pushes if you hit it. But Jaedong's been playing, like, basically strategically like a perfect game. Like, that switch even into this small group of mutas did such a good job. Oh, that's kind of a funny. I've never quite seen that interaction right there. But Jaedong really has done a fantastic job strategically here, and the idea of stalling out with you know, Plague and Dark Swarm and Lurkers and all that, while just kind of macroing up and getting your Queen energy, it's a very solid plan. Now, it can go wrong. In theory, Jaedong's position wins, but you screw something up, like Mong breaks through somewhere with his mech, you know, you miscontrol something, and suddenly Mong might just destroy. You know, siege tanks have such high damage output that when things go wrong, they can go wrong very quickly against Terran.
Now, drops are really strong on this map, and so seeing the speed shuttles out here makes me a little bit worried. You know, he might be tipping his hand and telegraphing the idea of a drop a little bit too soon, because, you know, once you're dropped once, the whole game changes. You're, you know, much more prepared for drops after that. You'll have the defenses, you'll leave units back there. So I think he made a mistake maybe sending some of those overlords out the way that he did. The Queens are still accumulating energy, at 150 they'll have broodlings, and then he'll come out and he'll massacre the tanks.
I love picking off what he can with these mutas as well. And Irradiate goes down there. Jaedong pulls it out relatively quickly. Ooh, actually gets the Vessel. Yeah, that was plagued earlier, actually, so that makes sense. But Mong is macroing really well. He's pretty much maxed. So is Jaedong. Maxed Mech absolutely can hold off Max Zerg, but it really just kind of has to do with like positioning, and siege tank count. So that's what the queens are for.
I love the Lings coming in here and just drawing those mines in. Any tank you can take out, that's going to be your path to victory. A lot of times that's how you can tell how well or poorly a mech player is doing here, is how many tanks were killed off. If you can just take out tanks with Lings, a couple of broodlings, you know, suddenly Vulture Goliath isn't that scary anymore.
That is for sure, and I gotta point out, Mong is macroing god tier. Like, look at how many bases he's taking. He's taking a 6th base, I believe, up at the top, unless those are just like floating barracks or something. He's doing a really great job keeping his supply super, super high. He's getting upgrades. He's laying mines. He's doing so many important things here. The only problem is he doesn't really have an answer for the queens. No one does yet. You know, you and I have been talking about maybe EMP will become a great thing to use. He's obviously not going for that. That is a lot of queens, and each one of those queens is going to get a tattoo of a tank name that they've killed.
I mean, Terran has a lot of bases here. Here come those queens now, just gunning down each of these tanks. The broodlings actually can be used for splash damage to hit other tanks here, too. I kind of forget that you even get broodlings.
Yeah.
I know that's the name of the spell, but, like, it's such a, inconsequential unit to get. This is one of those things you could see Blizzard was maybe, like, weirdly too afraid of this ability. Like, oh man, what if the broodlings are too good and it's already so OP? But yeah, I mean, they come in, they chuck out those broodlings, they wipe out that wave of tanks, and most of the queens get away.
He did a great job reducing that siege tank count. You can see that Mong fell from being maxed out this whole time to 156, and his unit quality is way down. It takes a long time to build up siege tank counts like that. Like, tank retention is the #1 thing with mech, and he hasn't been able to do that because of those queens. And now Jaedong just kind of starting to run through with the Ultraling. You know, the Ultraling makes a lot more sense when it's against Goliath Vulture. It absolutely can crush Goliath Vulture. It's the siege tanks that Ultras really have a hard time with. And there's just not that many of those left.
Okay, the Ultras are going to come down here with these Lings, and Mong needs to keep this base alive. Keep in mind, Jaedong is basically in this phase of the game where it's his turn to just start to hammer the Terran. And especially in a game where, 10 to 12 tanks were wiped out earlier, suddenly each of these positions is much more brittle.
We're getting to the end of the game. Like, Jaedong is taking 2 more bases during this time. One is completely droned up already, the other one not quite finished. His queens continue to find new siege tanks to broodling. He's forcing liftoffs and everything. Mong, he's trying to stay in this game. When you have this much mech and this much production, you feel like there's still a chance, but he knows in his heart, Tastosis, that this game is over.
Yeah, the Ultralists are getting way too much value here. We have a lot of these games where Zergs throw Ultras away. That's not happening here. One Ultra and a couple of Lings are going to wipe out an entire base. Dark Swarm can hit so many locations, and this is going to move Terran onto 2 bases here in a second, because I don't think the 3rd can be kept. The 4th certainly can't be kept. I don't know if there's a base up at the top, like near 12 o'clock. I can't tell, but
yeah, I don't think it matters.
Is.
I thought it was. I think it's like his floating barracks, but yeah, GG is called, and Jaedong just completely ripping Mong to shreds. Mong's build wasn't that bad, but his execution, not keeping the Valkyries alive, was a huge error. A huge error. And the thing is, it's like Jaedong made the mutas, which forced the Goliaths, and he killed some extra siege tanks, and then he was able to go queens freely. Like, if you have 5 Valkyries, you even have some zoning against queens for a while. So, like, that is a key aspect of a Valkyrie and a mech build, is keeping those Valkyries alive, and he wasn't able to do so. So Jaedong looking way stronger than Mong. Rush looking way stronger than ParalyzE. No big surprise on either of these. Jaedong versus Rush, though, that should be a good one.
Yeah, no EMP yet, man. Still waiting for that. When it happens, we'll be here to cast it.
Yeah.
Promise you guys that. It will eventually come up in one of these seasons. EMP was used in TVZs briefly. Nada used it against Defilers. But I cannot think of a better use for EMP in that matchup than those queens.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't get Irradiate, get EMP. Well, get Irradiate too, but get EMP. You get one hit on those, and suddenly the minutes of the game are going to be in your favor because the queens are useless without that energy.
Yeah, I think there's potential, but you do sound like the guys that tell you to go Reaver instead of Storm against Zerg. Okay, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, the winner match, Shadong versus Rush.
Made for the best. Made for who you can be. For esports pros, any miss can mean defeat. That's why the Death Adder V4 Pro has everything lined up. A fast, ergonomic design. A quantum leap in speed. Optical tracking for pixel-perfect scrolling. And a sensor more precise and intelligent than any other. Made for the best. Made for who you can be. love the challenge, I don't care for balance, I'm all in whatever I do. 150, they can't keep up with me, no talking, I show and improve. On another level, I never can settle, so why would I stop, I just move. Let's take it all the way, we work for this every day. I don't play games, boy, look me in the face. Coming for the throne, take the king's place. Pedal to the floor, no L's in the race. If you win front, excel in the chase. Set pace on them, no they never like me. That's their problem, but they have to respect when we coming from the bottom. What I wanna be ain't coming now, we got the roof down in the foreign. I'm running straight to the bag. I'm flying no in this flag. You could've called this a bag. Blood, sweat, and tears ain't no cap. I'm running straight to the bag. I'm flying no in this flag. You could've called this a bag. Blood, sweat, and tears ain't no cap. I love the challenge, I don't care for balance.
Winners match time. What's up, everybody? This is going to be such a good match. I think Rush takes it. I'm fine being wrong. But Jaedong did look extremely fearsome there in that match that he played versus Mong.
Yeah, he did look great. I don't have any idea what Rush is going to utilize strategically here. He's probably the most full-ranged Terran outside of Flash. Like, literally everything is at his disposal in all three matchups, and he's really good at all of them. So it is hard to say. Whereas with Jaedong, it's like, well, you know, Zerg is a little bit more, unless you're Shine, you know, you pretty much know what Zerg is going to end up doing, you know? It's like, yeah, we're going to open 2 Atch Muta and get a third, and like, yeah. You know, obviously there's some choices in there with how you want to proceed with your tech, but the opener should be pretty standard here.
Yeah. I think it's very hard to get anything past Rush. I'm glad you brought up Shine. He might be the only exception where he's so cheesy that even if you know he's going to cheese, it doesn't matter because you don't know what kind of cheese it's going to be. And then every once in a while, he just plays normal, and you've over-defended.
Yeah, he's got a 3-hatch Lurker macro build that's so sick, man. It's like, that guy is just out there.
So it's going to be on the map Knockout. Jaedong looking determined, as always, to get out of this group, but he's going to be up against one of the toughest people in all of the ASL, going up here against Rush. Let's get into this, guys. One of these two is moving on to the round of 16. In the upper left, we've got Rush. In the bottom left, we've got Jaedong.
Now,
and I'm really...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to just mention the map is Knockout, where it's got that little low ground divot. And that should make Sunken Defense a little bit better. And the two things that go well with Sunken Defense are Crazy Zerg and a Mutilus Call-In. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that either of those could be on the table. I'm not saying necessarily that you should do something like that. And in fact, Jaedong is not... I can't recall seeing him use Crazy Zerg. I don't think that's really a style that he likes. So, yeah, not sure.
Now, yeah, I was wondering with Jaedong, like, do we see him do Crazy Zerg often? I feel like I can't recall a time when he did it.
I don't think I've seen him really do it.
I don't think I've ever seen him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hole in his game. That build is so good.
I think it's... I mean, if I was playing Zerg now, I'd be doing that build a lot. It looks really fun. It looks really... it looks easier than some of the other builds that Zerg have to do. But Jaedong's very good at that traditional, you know, ZVT style, getting the mutas out, getting lurkers, defending the third, teching up. I mean, the last game was a great example of it. So, yeah, let's see what he's got here.
Easier is an understatement, Tasteless. The Crazy Zerg is basically like those iPad apps you don't let your kids get, where it's like a coloring app, in quotations, and they just touch it and it fills in the correct color perfectly. It's like, yeah, this is brain rot. Don't do this. That's basically what Crazy Zerg is. Oh, yeah, things like that exist. When you find stuff like that, you insta-delete. You're like, no, 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 no. Well, I think we lost you there for a second, Tasteless. But, yeah, drone coming out for a scout right now. Rush going to find Jaedong right away. Jaedong's Overlord going in the wrong direction. But pretty standard openers thus far. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Did I still cut out? I don't know what happened there.
You're back.
I don't know if I think my mic cord might have gotten pinched. I'm sorry about that, Tastosis. I don't know what happened.
That's
but
okay. Actually,
anyways, yeah.
People are going to notice the commentary got a lot better during that moment there.
Yeah, they're like, when that other guy stops talking, it really gets quite good.
Yeah. I especially liked when you called the Valkyrie like really good micro and it didn't shoot, and then when you called the Speed Overlord speed shuttles. Those were both really good moments in the last TVZ, and I'm hoping that you can reach those levels once again.
Well, they call it color commentary, but my color commentary is like those books you were talking about where you just touch it and it just fills it in. It's not truly actually colored in.
Yep.
So in this game, we've got, the fast expand coming up. And, let's see what Jaedong wants to do here. It should be a slow start. We've got the one Marine rushing out to try to come in and just pick off the drones if he can. But he's going to have to back up pretty quickly here. Don't want to lose that to any Lings.
Yeah, it's a very high-level move because, high-level Zergs don't want to make 2 Lings when the pool finishes. They want to make more drones. So you simply send that in, and it causes, maybe 8 minerals of lost mining time and forces 2 Lings to be made, and then you just run away instantly. It's like, don't do this in your ladder games, guys. But if you become a pro gamer, you'll do it regularly.
Yeah, it's just one way to slow them down ever so slightly. By the way, they're very close to each other walking distance. I know there's this little half pipe area of low ground in between the natural and the outside, which means you'd be running down into low ground and firing up into that. But it is still a very close rush distance. It feels like there's a lot of dirty cheese you could do here. As an example, in these positions, I couldn't blame a Zerg if he did that kind of Ling lurker bust that was popular a few years ago.
Sure.
Because lurkers don't really care about low ground to high ground the same way other units do.
That's true. That's a good point. Now, to mention, Rush is doing exactly the build that Jaedong has trouble with, the +1 4 racks, because it gives you the most Marines and medics you can get with the best upgrades you can get early on, and you're not supposed to be able to kill Zerg with this, but historically, this has really screwed Jaedong up. He's lost a lot of third bases to this. So that's going to be where, Rush came in very well prepped, because this is, if you remember when Jaedong played against, was it Light in last season? And I'm like, this is exactly how he's going to die, and then that's how he died. It's exactly builds like this that have been his weakness. But he has gotten better against them. I've been watching a lot of Jaedong games lately. He is faring much better against bio-based play. But we'll see what types of choices he makes here. Is he going to go up to quicker lurkers? Is he going to try a Soul Key Army Crush type of thing with Ling Muta? We can't tell quite yet.
Yeah, we're going to see in a little bit here. I like the medic tucked a little bit further back here, keeping you guessing as far as what you can see on the outside there. The first scanner is going to be done. Now, in this game, Jaedong went for 3 hatches, and the third one's in between the main and the natural. He scans down there. I think he should know that this is Spire from here.
Do you think he built that?
We see the turrets.
Do you think he built that hatchery there to expand to those 2 little mineral patches on the ramp? Could we call that a third base?
just mine that out. Yeah, I guess in theory, you just get the extra minerals from there. It's funny. I don't even think of those as resources on the map.
Well, they actually aren't. Those ones are zeros. The ones on the other maps all have minerals in them. Those happen to be zeros.
So those are just empty patches there. That's funny. Yeah, I hadn't actually checked that on this map. The mutas are going to come in now. He's going to be able to take down the first turret. The Marines are going to be called out. Rush pulls away before the Marines can be pulled into a line. You never want the Marines to pursue the Mutalisks too far, because they start to go in a straight line, and then the Glaives can punish so hard. Kind of like there.
Yeah, Jaedong's doing very well with this micro so far. You have to be careful, though. You don't want to lose too many mutas. You don't want to take too much damage. He knows exactly what Rush is doing. He has the full picture to it. The problem against this, it's for instance, he could make a bunch of Sunkens and try to go all in with the mutas or something. That's a real possibility. Actually, he's getting a lot of SCV kills, a serious amount. But if he goes for that Mutalisk kind of all-in build, it's going to be very difficult to get a third base. Almost impossible against this.
So the drone is headed down towards the very bottom right. This is a predictable location, although I don't think Jaedong has to play an abnormal game. I think this is a totally appropriate position to just take the bottom right main. It's the furthest to travel to. The meter pressure's been good. There's been a lot of damage output over here. In fact, even these turrets, I think he could take all 3 of these. He's actually, I love the way he does is he dives on the turrets deeper in there, just in case. Oh, and he's going to end up taking those out, completely wiping that position. And this is so bad for the Marines in this spot because they can't see over this high ground area. So they barely have time to shoot before the mutas dive in and occasionally with chain damage from the glaives punish so hard.
And this is looking more and more like a muta all-in. Not entirely sure yet. By the way, when you mentioned the diving in deeper there, when you cover the turret with the mutas, they can't be repaired. So really nice move there from Jaedong to kind of like maximize his chances of killing the static D. And he's picking off these units. As a Terran player, this is a really annoying spot to be in. Like, you're not necessarily going to die from this, but everything is in the way. It's hard to rebuild the turrets. Everything's taking a bunch of damage. The medics are having a hard time healing everything. Really nice position here for Jaedong.
Yeah, this reminds me of the 2008 Jaedong, where his mutas were just so fierce. It suddenly turned what you would think would be a strategy game almost more into a fighting game, where his mutas just did so much damage to the Terran. The Terran couldn't control or outmaneuver it, and just over time they fell apart.
Well, Rush is teching up. He has an add-on for his factory, and he's going 1 starport science vessel. And actually, like, in theory, it's a pretty decent build. It doesn't sound right to go, like, for siege tanks against, like, a mass muta opener, but basically their hive is so pushed back, the siege tank timing attack can definitely work. Now, Jaedong has done so much damage over there. He has done so much damage to Rush. You can see he's up by 14 supply right now, which is a little bit abnormal. But Rush is pushing out. We'll see where he ends up going. You can see it's that mass sunken I was talking about. That works really well on this map and really well with just a mass mutalisk strategy in general. Because a lot of times the way you get the mutas out of your base is to counterattack, and then the mutas have to come out and play. Here he doesn't, but Rush can force a cancel on the third, and in fact he already did. Jaedong's already canceled that. Dude, Jaedong is killing it. Look at this.
I think he might be able to win this game from here. This is looking brutal. The fact that there's no hatchery that was killed here. He gets the tank. He's going to go for the turrets on top of the main. I mean, this is the point where you know, all the units are spawning from. If he gets Lings and mutas up here, that's going to be so tough to deal with. We have the infantry coming back, and there's enough that he should be able to reclaim this position. But, like, Terran is hurting. So many turrets have been wiped out. And, you know, it feels like Jaedong could easily wind up for another attack. Yes, he does have to get another base up here, but Terran seems so weakened. Not mining from that second base. The lights at the barracks are off. There's no Marines being pushed. He even gets the vessel. This feels like it's going to be a 1-2 punch win, Artosis, with the next attack coming in here with Lings and Lurkers with some mutas, and probably just toppling the Terran's natural.
You know, I would say there's no question in my mind that Jaedong has vastly outplayed Rush so far in this game, but Rush still has a little bit of potential because Jaedong is on 2 base. 2 base Zerg is just not that strong. So, like, maybe there's a world in which Rush can kind of build a decent army, some siege tanks, some science vessels. His Marines and medics are going to have obviously vastly superior upgrades as you don't invest in upgrades other than Mutalisk upgrades here. So, you know, I still give him a little bit of a chance in this game.
The Marines are going to come down now. No Lurk. Oh, sorry, never mind. Lurker eggs just start. But that might be late enough.
Yeah.
That, you know, the Marines can stim in, kill the Lings. This is going to be cutting it close. Oh, nice. He spots the one. Oh, never mind. He actually gets that Lurker started here. The mutas are going to come down now. This is actually doable for Terran.
Yeah.
In fact, this is very doable for Terran. I think that Jaedong may end up just losing this game now. The Lurkers are going to scramble up onto the high ground. Obviously, they can't defend the hatchery from there. The hatchery isn't canceled.
There's some rough things going on. You know, Jaedong is definitely focusing elsewhere at the moment. He's done a lot of damage this game, but like I mentioned, if you go for this type of play, holding the third base is incredibly hard. If you get the third base up, the game is basically done. But he's still 2 base. So it's a big issue. But he does have Defiler tech. So there might be a world in which he just quickly pushes up through that short little path that you were talking about, throws a Dark Swarm down to the natural, and then the game will be his.
Yeah. Well, I think the Dark Swarm execution is probably the way to do it. He's actually going to... Oh, wow. Okay, he's going to turn around here. Looks like he wants to use the Mutas to clean this up. Initially, I thought he was going to be expanding into the bottom center, but apparently he wants to just get drones somehow over into this location. I'm sorry, is he going to take the natural again? Yeah. Wow, I thought he would be taking the main. I guess that just made more sense to me, but instead he's going to stick with his position. The Defiler's not going to attack. In fact, it's going to defend.
Okay, he just scanned and he missed the lurkers.
Yeah.
He scanned where the lurkers should have been, but Jaedong outthought him on that as well. Wow. And the Defiler on the high ground even, like, I mean, chef's kiss, man. Jaedong is actually putting out a super high-level game. It looks really different from how you'll see someone like Sulky play, but this is a valid way to play.
Well, this is what we were talking about with Jaedong. He's very tactical. He's very control-oriented, very aggressive, very tactical, but even like that maneuver there, on some level, like there's this genius to it, because I look at it from a conservative perspective. I think, oh, you want to put your hatchery on the high ground, and then you just play boring and put lurkers up there. He puts the hatchery on the low ground, which makes the Terran lick his lips. He goes, oh my god, I can easily bust that, but then puts the lurkers in a weird forward position so that the Marines run into it. Like, he is really thinking ahead here.
And look, he's holding to the last second for the Dark Swarm. Very last second there. Because he needs it to last so he can get a Nidus up. He has the Nidus waiting, as units waiting around the Nidus. This is going to be really tight. I think Rush is just barely going to break this. Wait, he turns around. This is turning into a wild game. I actually think Rush has the timing to do this. I think he just barely can get that Nidus and beat this base down.
Oh.
Yeah, this was excellently done.
Oh
my god! Dude. Dude, I think old Jaedong is coming back, man. For real. Like, the games I've been seeing from him recently. And the thing is, he's had a hard time since Remaster came back out. And we talked about this before, where, like, you know, maybe his style isn't good for modern play, which is the ultra decisive, like, instantly kill you if you screw up type of thing. Like, you know, go for the throat. He's done that this game against a top 2 Terran in the world. This is a super close game right now. This is a great feeling to have. Like, this is old Jaedong playing right now, which we really haven't seen.
He looks so complete. And he's now on 4 bases. I think the Defiler, I'm sorry, the Nidus has been remade, right?
He's remaking it right now.
Or maybe it's still... Okay, so it's almost done. Don't think he can come in here and deny that, which means that this whole location is going to be filled up with Defilers, drones, lurkers. And from here, Jaedong gets to safely coast into late game.
Well, that's exactly what you want as Zerg, and he's keeping his supply really close to Rush, which is definitely a good bonus. Rush has to apply a lot of pressure, and the biggest thing is he needs to kill that top or bottom left or bottom right. Oh my god. Well, if he kills bottom left, that's great, obviously, but he needs to kill this bottom right main base. Like, the 4 gases right now are going to become very difficult to deal with.
We've got the vessel coming in here. He's trying to get the... Oh, he actually gets the irradiate off. This Defiler might not even be in range to throw down that final Dark Swarm.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't get it off.
Not quite.
He's going to have to send more Defilers through.
Which, you know, he has plenty of Defilers right now, and now that he has 4 gases mining, the position's becoming a lot harder for Rush. Like, Rush just needs to make sure he has at least a couple starports going. You know, he needs vessels. Do you try to go battlecruiser here? Are you going to try to go mass drop? It's kind of obvious that drop seems like a good play here. So I think Jaedong's going to be ready. Like, see that? He's got lots of Scourge. He's got some Lings. He's got Mutas that he's got left over there. I don't know that he's going to be able to do too much with the dropships. But this is like a really important moment for Rush. He really needs to find some damage on this base.
Yeah, of course, if the dropships are picked off, then you've just lost so much supply. A decent number of fire bats in here. Oh, hold on a second. He's sending the Scourge through here. He's going to take out some vessels, but does he still have Scourge at home? He doesn't. Oh, man.
The mutas were there, though, so he did end up turning around. Losing those 2 vessels is kind of a crucial moment as well. Rush pulling back the dropships. He knows if Rush were to fly in those 2 dropships and lose them, that's basically his final chances. You're not going to recover from that point. These 2 dropships need to do something.
Okay, he comes in at an angle that I think Jaedong hadn't quite anticipated. He's going to drop submarines, but he's going to take the rest here into the main. 1 intercepted here by the Scourge, the second one taken out. You know, it's cleaned up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But a lot of drones were killed off here. I think that was pretty awesome.
He definitely did get a good amount of drones. Now tries to bust the Sunkens, but insta-plague on it, pops a bunch of units out of that Nidus. And he is going for ultras. So that kind of explains why we haven't seen as many lurkers lately. He's been doing mostly a Zergling Defiler defense, which is kind of rare to see. Not many people attempt that, because if they have a few Firebats mixed in like we saw before, like Rush almost broke the position. But Jaedong is treading that difficult line very, very well so far, banking up that extra gas, spending that extra gas on Ultralisk upgrades. And as those upgrades come to fruition, you're on 4 gas with Defiler Ultra. There's nothing scarier. It's like that and 12 carriers. Those are the 2 things that keep Terrans up at night.
Another Irradiate here on this group of mutas. He needs to pull that weak one out. He does. I love the Broadling up here at 12 o'clock. You'd be amazed how many games can be won because a command center can't land and there's not a scan available at that time and there's no vessel there. Like, this stuff goes a long way. Same thing with like a Spider Mine versus Protoss where they're just trying to get a Nexus up and they can't do it. Anyways, Terran is going to try to push out again into a very fortified position up here. 2 Irradiates go down, 1 onto the Defiler. So he'll need to spend his... uh-oh, he's moving into the mineral line. That's not good. I even killed some drones off with him for that.
Zergs need to hold position more often on irradiated units. That's actually,
for sure.
I can't tell you how many drone kills you get by irradiating something and having it run into a drone line. It really does happen pretty often. But yeah, look at that, man. That is going to slow that base quite a bit. He's already got SCVs headed up there as well. Hopefully he scans that and lands before they get there and start glitching out the command center.
Yeah, +3 attack, +1 armor here for Terran. Looks like he's going to go for it. I don't see a Defiler, Artie.
Oh, there it is.
Pops out. Yep.
Doesn't matter if you don't see it because he's got a Nidus. And so he will hold that as well. Another drop going into that main base. Seems like there's enough Lings and an Ultra in here. So he's going to be able to deal with this, even kill off one of these drop ships. Maybe a few drones can be picked off if he runs behind the line and everything. And that Ling, wow, you kind of nailed it on that, Tastosis. Look at how bad this is. There's so much going on. Like this, what Rush is attempting to do here with the Marine Medic Science Vessel dropship play, this is the most APM intensive thing that exists in StarCraft. And by extension, all esports. Like trying to actually macro this and move it around and attack everywhere and irradiate everything, it's really hard to manage all this and do things like scan and land a command center and build static D and all that.
Now, he's going to do a few more irradiates. If he could just get, I don't know, 4 drop ships and try to hit the main, I think he might have enough to kind of strong-arm the position. So many Ultras are going to come in here. The bunker's going to do a lot of help here with these Marines in the back. But with the Dark Swarm, it does not matter.
Yeah, the Dark Storm is really crucial because actually rushes up 1 attack upgrade over what the armor upgrades are for Jaedong. So I was actually like, ooh, don't do that right now. But the Dark Swarm really sealed the deal. Picks off another vessel. He has been so on top of picking off science vessels this whole game. This truly is old Jaedong.
Yeah, Terran is back onto just the 2 bases right now. I guess 12 o'clock is finally mining, but that could be picked off very easily. A ton of Firebats, but, you know, Firebats are not as good against Ultras as you would think. On paper, you'd be like, of course, in the lore, that's how the Terrans defeated them. But, yeah, the Ultras can kind of tear them up. They're really much better against the Lings, and normally you need to clean that out so you can kill the Ultras off. But in the end, man, Jaedong wins. He did it. Incredible series. I guess just one game. Incredible game.
Yeah. No, that's...
he played so well. He just beat Rush. That's insane to me.
He beat Rush straight up. It like technically a macro game. Like he did start with a pretty kind of all-in Mutalisk harassment. But that is incredibly impressive. There's only one Terran that is like as strong or stronger than Rush. And this has been what has been keeping Jaedong down. Because he's been having a great past year or so. I can't believe it, man. Like, this is a prime Jaedong. We have to list him as a real contender this season. We already know he can beat every Protoss. We already know he can beat every Zerg. And now he's just shown he can beat Rush. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that to Light. I think Light is, against Zerg, a step up from Rush. But if he avoids Light, things could look very good for him this season.
Yeah, Light could lose to some other player, a Terran, a Zerg, a Protoss, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can beat Rush in a game like that, then you can beat any Terran. This moment was an insane moment. Just as the Defiler gets out of the Nidus, the Defiler pops out, throws the Dark Swarm down here, and that means the space stays alive. Had the Nidus been picked off and only the Lings got through, that would have fallen. Now we're going to fast forward ahead here. And this was basically just Terran trying to lean on the Zerg in the bottom right and not having the necessary tools to fight this off over here. And this is how a lot of endgame ZVTs look when the Zerg's going to win. Is the Terran, it was on 4 bases, now they're knocked back to 3 and then 2. They're unable to just defend these outpost locations.
A fantastic game. A fantastic game. Really fun from start to finish. We're going to go to an interview with Jaedong and see what he's thinking about that win.
You're watching Group E of the round of 24 here at ASL Season 20 as we have our first player through to the round of 16 today. It's Jaedong. Congratulations. Thank you. And with you being the first player advancing today so far, all the Tier 2 players made it through in first place. How are you feeling? I have a feeling many people did not predict that I could make it out in first place. Even though I struggle against Rush, best of 1 is a deciding factor, so I considered myself as having a winning chance. Getting my confidence in check was key. Jaedong says he played his games with confidence. In the first game, after a Vulture Valkyrie opening, the game transitioned into Wraith Mech. I would like to hear what your opinion is on how Zerg should deal with this style. To be honest, I don't think I'm very clean in dealing with it myself. I think what it takes is not to rush things, go along and respond. Just follow without haste, says Jaedong. As a matter of fact, it seemed like your plays today were quite sharp, calculated. In the second game, you saw your opponent spawned vertically and placed your third hatchery in the main. What was the rationale behind this? Just, I had the money, so I put it down. There was nothing special, there was no special intent behind it. Oh, I see. Now, you did manage to get ahead in the early game with Mutalisks, but in that winner's match, Rush was not an opponent to be taken lightly. Could you explain a bit about how the late game went? I thought I was ahead, but I didn't manage to confirm my opponent's army size, strength. If my 5 o'clock had been broken, it would have been disadvantageous, but luckily I held on to it and was able to win. Defending well into the the winner's match as well, and victory was yours. I'm sure many people helped you prepare for today. Do you have anything to say to the people who helped you practice? Royal, Barracks, JYJ, those were the guys who helped me practice. I think I was able to win thanks to them. And speaking of people I would like to thank, we also have our university team, Kade, our coaches, and of course my fans, who always cheer for me and help me get far. I will make sure your expectations are met with satisfaction. That's right, a lot of your fans showed up today carrying your old uniforms, jerseys. And that does it for our talk with Jae-dong, who advanced to the round of 16 in first place. Congratulations once more. Thank you. Thank you for the interview. We've just heard from Jae-dong as we congratulate him on once again making the round of 16. We will take a short break and return to see who ends up being our second player advancing through.
For the best, made for who you can be. For esports pros, any miss can mean defeat. That's why the Death Adder V4 Pro has everything lined up. A fast, ergonomic design, a quantum leap in speed, optical tracking for pixel-perfect scrolling, and a sensor more precise and intelligent than any other. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
Everybody's still buzzing off of that Jae-dong win.
Yeah.
I said this earlier, but I really mean it. Like, and if you didn't follow StarCraft, pre-StarCraft 2, it might not be, you might not know. Okay, I mean, how would you know unless you were there to see it? But, you know, he is such a fan favorite from that era. The Bisou Flash, Jae-dong era. If he wins, the ASL numbers are going to go crazy because people love Jae-dong.
People do love
People
Jae-dong.
love him in a way that they don't love other pros.
Definitely one of the most beloved ever. I would say probably Boxer is number one. Yellow might actually still be up there as like a top 2, 3. I think Jae-dong is up there. Flash has historically been pretty damn popular. I think if you actually play the game, he's like kind of this very special person. But yeah, there's very few on the list as high as Jae-dong, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so to see him play that well, and my God, man, this is 2025, StarCraft 2. You know, the competition is so fierce. The game is so big right now. To see someone like him come back and play that well against Rush, let's not forget, man, Rush is like easily top 8 every single season of ASL. He's supposed to have won a couple ASLs already.
Yeah. He is of that level. So that's a huge deal for Jae-dong. And you know what? It's not a free win for Rush to get out of this group at this point. Both these guys are dangerous. Knockout between ParalyzE and Mong. Mong has way more experience in ASL, but I think ParalyzE is a slightly better player on like ladder at least.
Okay. ParalyzE here in the top left. Mong in the bottom right. Cross spawns here on this reimagined Circuit Breakers map.
All right. Excited to see what these openers will be. I mean, ParalyzE does not go Nexus first like ever that I've seen. So I don't think we'll see something like that, although it could give him a big advantage in these cross spawns. Mong, yeah, Mong is, this is considered to be his best matchup. He's very good at making vultures and tanks. The factories go burr when Mong is playing. So that is kind of a nice thing about Knockout. You know, being a Circuit Breakers remake, it's not that difficult to really get up to 4 bases. And once he gets to those 4 bases, he's pretty fearsome.
Yeah. I like that you pointed out that Mong is completely comfortable in the ASL studio. He was actually pretty funny in his interview. I didn't catch all of it because I was getting some more water, but I got to catch a little bit of it. But he's a funny guy. Mm-hmm. He's got quite the personality here. This is something that actually has always struck me as interesting, and maybe it shouldn't be surprising, but when you meet some of the biggest streamers, and like Mong has a massive stream, when you meet some of the biggest streamers, they're so with it and so funny in person, where I think you'll hear a lot of people say like, oh, streamers are these like antisocial people that they play games all day, and the people that watch them are weird. They also play games all day, and you know it doesn't make sense that some of these people are so popular. I've met a lot that I think this makes perfect sense. This person's so popular, and Mong is definitely one of them.
Well, you really flatter me, Tasteless. That's so kind of you to say.
By the way, Nexus first.
Wow. All right. Cool. I definitely do not see ParalyzE do this very often. I like that he's bringing it out. And it does happen to be cross spawn, and it's not a joke. It's not a meme. Cross spawn Nexus first is the strongest build that exists in StarCraft. Like Flash has said this. Every Terran player has said this. And I mean, we saw like when Mini beat Rush in that finals. It was like, man, that's tough. So we'll see what his follow up is for that. The thing is, he doesn't like. I don't know if I've ever seen ParalyzE go carriers. With a cross-spawn Nexus first, that is oftentimes the strongest thing you can do, but I don't think it's particularly good on this map. This is like, it's a little bit open, you know, it's not that hard for Terran to move around, but I don't know. He might just go into a very standard play after this.
I mean, cross-spawn carriers can definitely be good, right? I mean, I guess on some maps it's better than others, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see how he wants to approach this. There's many different ways to go Nexus first. You can go with 2 gates. You can go with 1. You can go with 2 gates where you make 2 Zealots. You can go with 2 gates where you just, you know, skip the Zealots entirely and make Dragoons. There's been fast expand builds a few years ago that were popular where people just went Forge. You know, because Terrans were so prone to rush that you basically got a cannon up right as the SCVs got there, and the Terran just lost outright. And so, and I think there might be even more to come early Nexus builds. I feel like this is still a little bit Wild West.
A little bit.
As far as build orders go.
It's more mapped than it used to be, but yeah, I think you're right. There's like a lot still that can be figured out with it.
And I think Terrans are still figuring out how to deal with it too. There's been several different types of all-ins depending on what the Terrans opener is and when they find them. There's also been, and that includes all-ins like versus the Forge opening, where you just get like a siege tank in siege mode and just kind of do a slow push. SCV rushes if it's not a Forge opening. But, you know, there's also been plays like taking a 3rd command center really fast and putting mines out. You know, Protoss, they get the Robo before Dragoon range with this build. And it feels weird. It's one of the reasons like why I personally didn't go for Nexus first right when I came back. Is it felt so weird to try to do that as somebody who went for gateway openings my whole life that I'm like, I need to at least be doing something that I'm comfortable with. Oh my God, he actually cancels the gate.
Yeah.
Which means the Vulture's going to get in.
Man.
Oh.
a little bit premature there. Great job by Rush jumping on, or Mong rather, jumping on top of that. And like, look, he actually ends up getting a lot of kills. What was that? 3 probe kills? Oh, maybe 2?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
one's still alive.
Yeah, the scout as well is huge. Because as soon as you scout that, you're like, oh, I don't need detection or anything like that. It's not something insane. You know, you can play pretty comfortably from there. So that was a really good move from Mong. And
yeah, a little bit
no,
unfortunate that ParalyzE, well, he just acted a little bit too quickly. If you're going to cancel the gate, you at least have to make a pylon there. You have to keep that entrance small. One of the easiest ways for things to fall apart in an Nexus first build is if a couple Vultures get in and kill off your workers. To what I was saying earlier, you need to get your Robo out before Dragoon range, pretty much always, because you need to get the Obs out and see what they're doing. Some Terrans will go for like 3 command centers. We've seen hidden command center actually pretty good against this.
Yeah.
The Protoss doesn't scout for it. You can get a completely wrong read.
Yeah, we saw Light do that, if I'm recalling correctly. That was like a really cool one where you made 1 SCV per patch. It was like a really optimized hide. Well, you don't think about optimizing
Royal,
something like that. Oh, was it Royal? Okay.
It was Royal, yeah.
I give Light credit for everything, basically. he's the Terran god at the moment. has been for a bit, but yeah. By the way, I actually really like what Mong is doing against this. This is one of my favorite ways to play against Nexus first opening, like a 2-factory. It feels like you have decent potential. You definitely have map control for quite a while. You have potential to maybe get in and get damage. And if they're doing anything weird or cheesy, then it's not going to work because you added the second factory. Because there's like a lot of builds. For a while there, it was really popular. You mentioned taking a fast third base as Terran. That was really popular for a while as a counter. And Protosses came up with counters against that. So like a build like Mong's can be very good against that. And yeah, taking the third base off this, like this, I love this style against Nexus first. I actually don't do it as much right now, but I have played a lot with this in the past. I've seen a lot of Terrans play with this in the past, and it feels good because like you have so many Vultures out there, they can't really attack you.
Yeah, no, it's scary when you're Protoss and you see that third base up and you go, oh, okay, man, all right, we're in a tough position here. By the way, when it comes to, you know, a game like this, it's tricky, right? Like, will Protoss go for the carries? We don't see it yet. You can get a third Nexus really fast and it's acceptable. I know for some of the fast Nexus builds, you'll start the first Stargate on the second Nexus, and then like basically start the third Nexus as you're waiting for that tech to finish. But we're seeing ParalyzE instead go into what looks like the speed shuttle play. And the truth is, you know, Nexus first, it's really strong, but you don't have to go into any one tech. The whole idea is you've just got to base up so much faster than you would normally get, and you can bait the Terran into being extremely aggressive and maybe even throwing away the game if they get too aggro and try to hit you too hard.
It's very true. That it's like the greatest thing about Nexus First is how fast your third Nexus is. That's like the strongest continuation for Nexus First. Everything else is kind of like silly. But to have this many probes on this many patches early, you're basically forcing Terran to max out. There's not like a timing attack that works against this. And I think Mong will realize that really, really quickly because that's his forte anyways, is like maxing out well. So I think what we're going to see is like he's going to go towards max. ParalyzE is going to try to harass a little bit. Now, the only thing I want to make sure that ParalyzE does here is I want to see a fourth base go up as the Reaver goes over. And then as soon as he thinks it's safe, make a fifth base. And if he plays exactly like that, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be an insane macro game. And look, yeah, see, here comes the probe for that fourth.
Whenever I see games like this, too, I'm always watching to see, like, how many gates will they get before they finish making their Nexuses. Because this is a guy on 3 gates with a 4th gate making with a 4th Nexus started. And there is some risk here. Like, you know, if let's say he loses the shuttle and Terran just counterattacks, like, you could die. But I think that you got to be really greedy in a moment like this. When you see a Terran who took a quick third, you're like only making probes, Nexuses, and gateways.
Exactly.
And then you'll use those gateways later. You're not making Dragoons right now.
And, you know, you're forcing some anti-air from the Reaver. You know that he has to play a little bit safe. I can't get over how perfect the build order is from ParalyzE. Like, the timing on the Nexus was exactly what I want to see, and a lot of times Protoss is like, I don't know, I'm nervous. And it's like, no, man, like, he took a fast third, he has to make missile turrets, you're fine. You can absolutely do this. So the fact that he's got that 4th Nexus up, he's walling it off with pylons already, so Vultures can't ruin his day. Like, his mining is going to be insane. I think he'll probably go up to, like, 10 gates and then 5th Nexus, and I think that's totally cool. But I really do... If he makes the 5th Nexus before he engages, he's going to play Rush in the next in the next game.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's become more popular to go for 4 base max out over 5 base max out. We've seen it with Best. Wow, okay, so Mong's going to also take his own 4th base. So this is where I think you want to get 6 bases for Protoss.
Where do we draw the line? And then Mong takes another base. And you take
eventually
10
it's just
bases.
It's just the command centers all along the bottom. And we're like, well, one of these guys is wrong, right? Like, this can't just go on forever.
Both at that point,
But I guess the reality is, if he's that low on gateways right now, he doesn't have any units to attack that. If the Reaver can't deny it, you can't do anything.
Well, Mong is expanding so heavily, and it looks like he is going to go and take that 5th Nexus. A probe is being sent out, so that's very good to see. But ParalyzE should actually be able to hit his macro at this point and, like, really mass up, and maybe he can do some damage here. There's that 5th. Dude, they're both playing really well. I do think Mong is actually too greedy here, though. I'm a little bit nervous for him. Maybe he just holds completely fine. I don't know. We'll see.
You know,
like, no one ever does this, really. This is where Mong's build is uncharted territory. ParalyzE's is not.
Well, here's the thing. Mass shuttles can break fragile positions that Terran can't really cover just with tanks and turrets. Like, if you have this many shuttles, you can, like, fly over turrets. You could go into the main. You could, you know, hit another obscure location. So let's see what he wants to do. He's actually going to try to dive in. This seems like it might not work. Well, hold on a second. I thought there was a Reaver in here. The Templar's going to change the math a little bit over here.
Well, it seems like an okay attack here from ParalyzE, even though he won't kill the base. Like, he got some SCVs. He eliminated a few siege tanks. Kind of forces a reposition. He's still adding gates at home, or he should be adding gates really quickly. Like, it seems like he doesn't have room with his pylons. But he does need to, like, add a bunch of gates and make sure that he's, like, perpetually maxed now that he's going up to 5 bases. That's a lot of zealots.
A ton of zealots here. Yeah. This will not help against the Vultures. You need those Dragoons to drive those back. I've definitely had it where there's, like, 3 control groups of zealots outside my base and 6 Vultures come, and they just... It's a bad time.
Yeah, they lay the mines and kite, and it's...
And I'll lose 2 control groups of zealots, like, trying to run around in macro and do stuff. Oh, nice. He gets the Reaver out here. That actually cleans up a decent amount of, you know, everything that, you know, Terran had as far as Vultures go. You know, one of the problems for Protoss when they try to really keep expanding this fast, you don't have a ton of units. You don't have a ton of time to make cannons. So, like, you do feel pretty exposed. Like, Vultures are so fast, if they can get in anywhere, they're going to kill all the workers. He's going to come in again. This is so interesting to see.
He needs to break this position, like, very, very badly.
He needs to kill those
giving
depots.
up his Nexus.
These zealots are not doing work.
Yeah, you're very right about that. And that's given Mong actually enough time. If he had targeted those depots immediately, maybe he can get the command center. But he gave up a Nexus for this. 4 base versus 4 base is not going to be very good here for ParalyzE.
This feels much stronger for Mong right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, just seeing these, some of these attacks come in here, it's like you should have retreated a long time ago.
Yeah, that's too bad, because I think the theory behind all ParalyzE's play was super, super good. You can see that he's dialed in that way. But, like, you're right. He had, like, 20 zealots that were just running back and forth, not attacking anything. Maybe if he attacks those depots, he does a bit better. Or if you're not gonna bust that base, you have to save that 5th Nexus, because now it's 4 base, 4 base. When has a Protoss ever won that?
It seems like just like the previous game, ParalyzE made a couple tough choices, and they didn't pan out well, and now he's just in a really bad position here. Doesn't mean he can't win. Mong is totally capable of making a mistake here, and maybe, you know, this game turns around, but right now, it's going to be really tough. Now, the Storm Drops are a great idea. Can he get one more off on those SCVs? Unfortunately, he doesn't get maybe what would have been the best shot in the final group of SCVs over there. So that gets cleaned up. Now, Storm Dropping over time will keep the Terran very small. The problem is Terran is basically maxed out. They've got enough army that I think they can start to take fights. I don't know how many more Templars are actually in with the Protoss army mix. So I think it's possible that Mong just comes through here and rolls the Protoss.
Yeah, that definitely feels like it's a real possibility. Now, what? What? Like, are we committing or not committing? He flies in with the shuttles. He flies out with the shuttles. You can't explain that. It's... Oh, man. ParalyzE really kind of blundering these attacks, I guess. It's just not... These are not how they're supposed to look, unfortunately. He's, like, engaging with only goons out here.
Yeah, now he's buying time.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if the Terran doesn't get anywhere and push anything and kill it, you're still in the game.
That's true.
It gets a lot scarier when Terran has you contained. Terran is also taking the bottom left, and this is just a part of the map that might get neglected. When Protoss can't get another main on either side, they tend to get into this 5-base position, which is still very strong. The Protoss, you know, is still very much able to win the game here, but this means the other mains get ignored, and Mong taking a hidden base here in the bottom left is a genius move.
It is. I agree with you on that. Not something I was thinking of, but I think you're pretty right. Now, ParalyzE actually comes out and is taking a very good engage here. There's very little support for the siege tanks. It's mostly just a siege tank spread. So the Zealots get on top of a lot of these tanks and eliminate them. Really, really nice for him. Now, can he figure out that there's a base in the bottom left and stop that from mining while he takes top right? That's the next step to really get himself back into this game.
You know, Mong had too many isolated tanks there. You need to have vultures with tanks. Vultures in front of tanks in siege mode are Protoss's worst nightmare, especially when you don't have any storm on you. But there it was like, what, 7 or 9 tanks or something just spread out. Zealots running right up in front of them and killing them.
Definitely an error there. Trying another storm drop now. Does okay-ish.
Bad.
The storm drops have been pretty good. He is very good at those in general, so he's finding some damage when he can. Gonna kill off a few of these remaining tanks on the left side. Still doesn't know about that base in the bottom left, unfortunately, but he is taking another base that Mong is about to attack.
Once again, the vultures are going to come up here. You know, it's important when you get into the games like this, you know, this far along, excuse me, you need to not have every unit on a hotkey. I'm having to do this myself. Like, if you had, like, 1 Templar over at that new base at the top right and, like, a few Dragoons, when the cannons are making, you can hold off way more. But a lot of times you see people, they put everything on a set of hotkeys, and you don't have a few utility units to kind of help you defend a situation.
Yeah. Well, he's still trying to do
Great
some drops.
storms
He did scout, by the way, with an observer at the bottom left, so he is sending some units over there finally. So this will at least chase away the SCVs for now. I don't think it ends the base permanently, but now Mong is getting spread really, really far. He kills another Nexus over here that still has probes going to it, so that's a disaster. But at least he found this base.
Well, this is maybe the most important base to find, because the longer this base goes unpunished, the worse it's going to be. Terran is starting to run out of map. This always happens in really long games. There's one base that Terran can realistically hold this game, and it's going to be 3 o'clock. Now, there's a world where Terran ends up taking this bottom left main and keeps it, and that will probably result in the Protoss losing the game. The Protoss can never let Terran take half the map.
The only thing that beats half the map is Terran being really out of position or carriers. And neither of those things seem too likely to happen at this point. Definitely not the carriers. Their economy does not exist for that right now. But ParalyzE jumping in once again. He just continually is storm dropping this base. And, you know, he is getting some value with some of these storms, but his supply is getting pretty low at this point.
Yeah. ParalyzE starting to get smaller and smaller here as these low numbers of Dragoons are just not really able to do anything. He's going to try to flee up here to the north. Once again, we have another Nexus being made. He's just trying to will his way into that top right position. There were, I think, about 5 tanks in the bottom left main.
Yeah.
And, you know, if he gets Zealots, he can run up there. He can also use the shuttles to break that position open. It almost feels like maybe ParalyzE is a little bit too focused on storming this same location here.
I was thinking
the
same
thing. Where I'm like,
thing.
really, you just got to get the bottom left. I mean, you can hit these spots. But, like, there is a more valuable spot that Terran needs to defend. Right now, you're basically attacking into production lines.
I definitely agree with that.
Okay, hold on. There is a drop
assessment.
coming in. Oh, never mind.
Okay, well, not sure what that was, but plenty of defense up there for Mong. ParalyzE's supply is really perilously low. It is not looking good. He is double expanding again, but he's lost that top right natural 2 times already. And, okay, decent upgrades, 3-1 going up against 2-2. He is going to kill off some SCVs here, but I'm not sure that's the same value as all the Dragoons and Zealots that he's losing to do it. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. Mong has really taken control of this game.
Yeah, Mong is so close to crossing the finish line. I think that ParalyzE has actually put up a pretty decent fight, but I think he didn't prioritize parts of the map. It's like he had 1 good attack at 6, and then he tried to just have 7 more good attacks at 6 o'clock. And the bottom left base was much more important. That's another main, and he just taps out. He just quits and realizes he's misplayed this game. Mong kind of powered through that, just defending, taking his licks, and then rebuilding, remaking SCVs, continuing to expand. And ParalyzE just didn't seem to have that end game decision-making where he can close the game out. Instead, it actually was one where he maybe threw units into the wrong positions on the map. And there really wasn't a whole lot that Protoss could do long-term after that.
I think the crux of that game was Mong took a 4th base, ParalyzE took a 5th, and then Mong killed the 5th base with just Vultures, and ParalyzE couldn't kill the 4th. You need to either defend your 5th or counter-kill a base. And it was some poor execution, poor decision-making there from ParalyzE, where he could do neither. When Mong is able to do both of those things, he should win that game every time.
Right. Well, we're going to TVT. Mong versus Rush. Again, one that Rush should win. Rush barely losing to Jaedong in a fantastic series. But, you know, don't count Mong out. He's really very solid. Played extremely well in that last game. Going to be a very important match here to close this groupie out.
Yeah, and, you know, Mong is good Terran versus Terran. You can't take that away from him. I'm excited to see what map they'll end up vetoing down to. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the final match of the night.
For the best, made for who you can be. For esports pros, any miss can mean defeat. That's why the Death Adder V4 Pro has everything lined up. A fast, ergonomic design, a quantum leap in speed, optical tracking for pixel-perfect scrolling, and a sensor more precise and intelligent than any other. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 on the prize. Face the truth and ignore the lies. Step up time and let your rap shine. This is do or die, get left behind. Close your eyes, contemplate, visualize and concentrate. This is your last minute monster play. 3, 2, 1 and bombs away. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred. You better wake up, all eyes on the prize. Face the truth and ignore the lies. Step up time and let your rap shine. This is do or die, get left behind. Close your eyes, contemplate, visualize and concentrate. This is your last minute monster play. 3, 2, 1 and bombs away. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred. Charge, tackle, swerve, crash, break, bones, nerve, blast, guard, block, serve, smash, chaos, competition, curve, clash. Charge, tackle, swerve, crash, break, bones, nerve, blast, guard, block, serve, smash, chaos, competition, curve, clash. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred. Back in the yard, this is the battlefield that made me hard. This is the battlefield that left me scarred. This is the battlefield that I left blood on every time we sparred.
Welcome back, everybody. This is it. This is the final match. We're going to close this out on a TVT. It's going to be business as usual. Rush advances, and of course that was what was going to happen. Or we have ourselves a crazy upset. And I'll tell you what, I think Mong could do it. He looked really strong. Rush, obviously one of the most solid players we've ever had in StarCraft, but upsets happen. We're going to find out if this is going to be one of those moments now.
And Polestar is kind of a big macro map, and if you get an advantage in the early game, you get a pretty reasonable advantage. There's some maps in Terran vs. Terran where there's a high ground right outside of like your main base, or your natural rather, and on those, if you get the advantage early, you win. On this one, it's a bit further back. It's a pretty reasonable advantage, but like if, let's say Mong opens better with Vultures and gets that position, that's going to be a bit of a deficit and hard for Rush to build back from. So, while I would favor Rush, I think the openers are going to have a lot to do with who takes this.
This is going to be a real fun one, man. Rush looking a little tense here. He's always very focused. I think he really expected to beat Jaedong here. This is always an uncomfortable feeling. Remember, pride plays a big role here when you're always in the top 8 and a lot of times in the top 4, and you probably could have won a couple of ASLs in the last ones you were in. You definitely don't want to get knocked out here in the round of 24. Okay. Mong here in the top right, Rush in the bottom right. in this TVT. Guys, our final plug of the day here. Get on the Patreon. Come on. Sign up. Support us. You've been watching us for this long. You're not on the Patreon. Consider doing so. You know, we've got 2 very long seasons throughout the year. We've been getting these group selections translated. I think Ziggy's done a great job doing that. The last couple seasons, we've been great about getting these VODs uploaded. Please consider supporting us. We love you guys, and we love StarCraft. And, yeah, go to the Patreon.
Yeah, and you know, these seasons last a good amount of time. How long is a season? It's like generally, it's like 2.5 months to 3 months, something like that.
I actually have the schedule on my phone. Let me look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks with 2 breaks. It looks like there's a holiday. We got Chuseok coming up. But you know, overall, I mean, from start to finish, it takes a little bit over 2 months. So you got regular content that's hours long, by the way, coming out. I wouldn't have it any other way. I grew up watching StarCraft, and I absolutely just loved the stories and watching the strategies unfold. And it has been one of the great gifts in my life that I get to, you know, be part of it now and share those stories with you guys.
And there is nothing better as a young man, you know, watching Star Leagues in the middle of the night. You know, that was like the best time. And well, the thing is, nowadays you get to just watch it at normal times because we have awesome things like YouTube that this goes on to. But you know, it just formative moments in our lives, and I mean, well, pretty damn formative because it's still what we do. It's still like basically the only thing I think about. It's kind of messed up when you think about it. Will my life, Tastosis, at the end of it, be a life well lived or a life very wasted? With the amount of time and effort and thought I put into StarCraft, it's been like most of what I've done with my life and probably always will be.
Well, it's going to be a dark twist here at the very end because on your deathbed in the last few minutes, you're going to realize how to stop DT rushes. And you're going to go, You'll be trying to reach for a mouse and keyboard. Get me on the ladder.
Yeah.
I finally figured out how to stop it.
Yeah, but then I'll hit only Zergs and then I'll die.
Yeah. I'm only getting Terrans here. I can't get a game against the Protoss. No.
Yeah, that's always the way.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, sign up for the Patreon. I'm so happy to just be continuously doing this. And by the way, this is so much, I think, a better format than some of the other newer esports that have come out where they're like, we're going to have this on for 8 hours a day for 6 days a week. And I'm like, well, how is anybody supposed to follow that? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Can I be part of something? It's nice to kind of tune in like it's a season of a show. Enjoy it, then you're done. You're like, okay, now I get to go play. I get to take what I learned and enjoy the game, and I'll come back later and pick up where we left off. We got a Marine rush here, Artie, and this blue Marine is about to be picked off.
Yeah, Mong actually outcontrolled Rush here without any question. Rush ends up getting an SCV, so he actually makes it pretty much even at the end of that. But overall, that was better control from Mong. It is just like a factory expand versus a factory expand. It was the forward 11 racks from Rush, which is really good if your opponent goes like gasless expansion or CC first. You can put on pressure like what we just saw and maybe get damage, maybe not. But overall, pretty even positions. And now we just got to kind of watch to see like, okay, are we going to go into 3 factory vulture here? Is someone going to do something a little cheeky and throw down an armory, possibly a starport? Starport openers are a little bit popular right now, but based on the amount of scouting intel they both got, I would be surprised if it wasn't 3 factory vulture versus 3 factory vulture.
It's what a lot of TVTs become now. I think, you know, starting to accumulate a lot of vultures early on, it prevents a lot of other weird play that players might try to get away with. You know, the muscle of the vultures kind of stops you from doing anything too tricky or too dirty. Oh, what's up, dude? Okay, this is one of the weirdest flanks ever. If he controls this right, Mong could pull away, but he doesn't. Well, there's nothing more exciting than when they both don't micro. That's my favorite. It's just... This could be 2 kids in a PC bomb right now. When those vultures for a little bit, they're just shooting at each other, staring each other down. Yeah, well, Mong comes in, he trades out, but obviously Rush being closer to You know, his factories, that Vulture comes in there to save the day.
Whenever something like that happens, you're like, wow, no one's microing. I think back, there was this LAN tournament I went to, like, somewhere, I don't know, New Jersey or something in, like, 2004. And a local guy showed up, and, like, so many people flew in for it. And a local guy showed up, and I watched him play from behind. And he was like, he wasn't using the keyboard, he only used mouse. And he was like, his other hand was like in the air as he frantically right-clicked his Goliath away from all the units coming to get him. And I was just, I think about that every time. Okay.
It's so funny. Oh my God, this is actually starting to accumulate. Oh, the SCV's repaired just in the nick of time.
Sick hold. Sick hold.
I actually thought that was going to go down.
Yeah, well, with the tank coming out,
done.
he would have been okay still, but he might have lost a few SCVs there as well. So that was a really good block there from Mong. You know, Rush over here, like, I don't know that he made a siege tank. I think he went only Vulture. This is actually something I don't have the answer to right now, whereas, like, when it is and is not good to make those two siege tanks. Because a lot of pros will make those, and the thing is, people make them at different times too. Like, look at Rush here. His siege tank comes out a lot later. Like, Mong already has two. I'm actually a bit unsure because it's not that common on ladder, but the pros seem to like it quite a bit. But yeah, it looks like Mong coming out with his Vultures right now. He's got the double siege tank. You have to move before mines are out. That's kind of the whole key behind this. But he actually turns around rather quickly. Oh, that's why. When you land that, it makes it so you can't rally more units. So, like, you would do something like land that into attack, and you catch units that are outside the wall.
Yeah, you basically squish them. So they're both going to meet in the middle of the map here. The tanks are leading here for Mong. Mong needs to pull this tank at the top away, and he doesn't. He loses it.
Well, that's painful.
Oh, my God.
Okay, he does get the counter kill on the tank, but he has less Vultures now. Oh, man.
Oh, the damage distribution is pretty sick here. And, I mean, Rush, that's a lot of damage, man. This is a lot of Vultures coming up here. Uh-oh. He tripped the mine, but I don't know, man. This is so many Vultures. They just about two-shot the enemy Vultures.
This is really, really rough. Rush got very far ahead after that engagement with the two tanks. The fact that he's killing this many SCVs... Yeah, it's hard to imagine Mong coming back from that much damage. He's down 24 supply right now. A lot of that's in SCVs. Now, in Terran vs. Terran, you can just, like, siege tanks and kind of stay in the game. But this position should be unbelievably bad. We actually don't have mines yet for Rush, which is kind of weird. Like, from here, you would just lay, like, 1 million mines and then set up a contain, and you're golden. So I'm not sure why he doesn't have mines, but probably that'll come up very quickly from here.
He's got to lift his CC.
He doesn't want mines to go under it, so he's a little nervous that mines might finish.
No, I get it, but
yeah,
this is going to get pretty in the red. I love the one Marine made. Actually, really smart move. Just having even one Marine that can, like, you know, soak up a couple grenade shots from Vultures could also help you in a fight here. And this is, you know, it's very similar to like a PvP contain where the Dragoons are just outside your entrance. The tank can force it open the same way a Reaver can. But, I mean, this is a lot of Vultures he's having to throw in here. And the Vulture number is still so high. If, you know, if Mong is overexposed at all, he doesn't have enough to actually fight those Vultures on the map. And remember that Rush was mining the whole time, making SCVs the whole time. I mean, it's easy to forget that command center that, you know, we were talking about needed to be lifted. He wasn't making workers out of there. It's now remaking a scanner. We're at a supply count of 91 to 69. I mean, that's a huge difference for only about 9.5 minutes into this game.
Huge difference. That's a pretty dominating advantage for Rush right now. But like I said, you know, you can siege up a bunch of tanks, and it's very hard to kill a Terran like that. So you can make the game go longer and try to find different ways to try to catch up. But as of right now, Rush is probably feeling fantastic. If I was in this position, I'd be like, yeah, I got this game. It might still be 20 minutes, but I got it. Like, this
might be a bit of a slog, but
this is a good idea. Like, look at where he's sieged up. Like, that's kind of the position I was talking about. If you get map control, it's like a decent advantage. It's not just a straight win. But, like, not only is he kind of containing a little bit, and he has that potential to attack down into the natural very quickly if Rush doesn't defend there well enough, but he's also defending his third base and a potential fourth base there at 3 o'clock.
Well, I got to say, Mong has fought back nicely. What do you think about the depot placement? Is there a method to that madness down there, or is there?
No.
It's just a ugly setup. Okay.
This is just
like
throwing depots down anywhere to just get your macro going, make sure you're not missing anything. It's like TVT and Vulture versus Vulture. There's so much engagement going on. Like, early game Terran versus Protoss is really super predictable for what's going to happen and what the engagements are going to look like. In Terran versus Terran, you're like reassessing at all moments and moving your Vultures a lot. So it's a little bit harder to make depots. And I think I mentioned to you in a previous day about how macroing Vultures is actually the hardest macro cycles that exist.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like if you have your screen in the wrong spot for even a moment, like, you're just going to lose everything. You're going to be out of position. You can't run away. Because Vultures they're like mutas. They can moving shot a retreating unit. So, and that would be another Vulture in this case in this matchup. By the way, Rush going to come up here now. These tanks both seem to be sticking out like sore thumbs, and so they're going to be... Oh, yeah, he gets picked off. And I would not be shocked if we see Rush advance even further down here. He's up to, I think, about to have 7 factories, to Mong's 4. A measly 4.
Well, one of the more important things is add-on count. They're both going 3 add-ons. Mong already has 3. When you see 3 add-ons and 4 factories for Mong, it's a very weird position because you're going to spend basically all of your gas on siege tanks, and that will keep you alive. Like, from here, well, Rush is actually pushing in really effectively because Mong is, like, having too few tanks siege too far forward. But, like, if you just sit there and macro 3 add-ons this early in the game and make nothing but siege tanks, you'll basically hold on and be able to, like, max out. So, like, Mong might be going towards, like, I don't know, if you talk about in poker terms, he might have, like, 1 to 2 outs here maximum, where, like, he does, like, he's building up into maybe a mass drop or something like that, you know?
Kind of a funny drop. What is your take on this? It feels like this was not worth it at all. But I guess when 2 Goliaths are there, that's how you stop that. Yeah,
no good from Rush, but I think it's good for him to try stuff like that. He knows he's ahead. He can spend something like that, and if he slows the command center down, good for him.
So he's wrapping around over here. Right now, it's both players on 3 bases. I think that's an SCV at 6 o'clock on the minimap. But, you know, basically Rush is surrounding him. It's a game of starvation here with the potential for a push if he sees an opening. And I guess he sees that opening now. He's going to come in here. That's probably why the drop was sent in there, was to draw the Vultures away. And just like we saw in Mong's game versus the Protoss, I mean, when the tanks are alone and there's no Vultures here to defend them, then they can fall victims, whether it's Zealots or Mines or Vultures. They're just going to be very exposed. So I think Rush might even try to push in again and capitalize on this situation.
He's doing such a great job of just pulling Mong around into different positions. Really, really a superb job of that. Mong is like doing a good job kind of rallying up and trying to get his defense together. If Rush would just slow down for a moment, Mong could lock everything down and be fine. But Rush is just like right on the edge of not allowing Mong to do what he wants.
Okay. The command center is going to finish here at 6 o'clock. Barracks being remade. Looks like that was probably picked off. It was probably a spotter barracks earlier. Another drop's going to come in here. And Rush is just really laying it on Mong here. You know, he's trading efficiently. It feels like the third base might have to be picked up. You know, these tanks, they're going to have to unsiege and then inch in there. But if they unsiege, there's a chance that Rush will pounce here. He has unsieged tanks of his own. So he's going to inch forward just slightly. The Vulture's going to come in here to spot. He sees there's more units moving in. This barracks is probably going to go down if these tanks can't wipe this out. And again, no SCVs mining at this third base.
Yeah, well, you know, that's actually the fourth. He does have the third right behind that. So, like, his economy is still okay-ish. but it's going from bad to worse right now. He does have a fair amount of tanks up here, so oh god, look at this by Rush. Just flying past everything. You know there's not going to be any defense up here. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's going to unload right over here, instantly siege up, and this is going to be another pressure point that Rush is going to just keep hitting. And it might force Mong to be back a little bit further. I think he would have been better served if he didn't drop right there, because you can see these siege tanks are sieging from that third base into the main.
Yeah, that was a great defense, because if he had dropped him anywhere else, that would have been a huge amount of damage. Anywhere else.
I feel like you want to drop them like behind where the minerals are back there. Just make them go all the way through that labyrinth of a base they have to try to defend that. Mong's getting some counter punches in here, by the way. You know, there's some vultures coming in and getting some kills on these. The dropship count has gotten very high. Whether it be the main or the fourth or the third, all of these bases are pretty vulnerable here. Those are his mines? Yeah, those are red mines. You can see the little red shoulder pads on the mines.
Dude, oh my God.
So I think he's going to come in here again, and yeah, he just has to make sure he doesn't drop too close to the edge of the main and instead go deep into the center.
He's got SCVs here to help. Oh, this is going to be bad. Those got sieged up without any tanks nearby. Now, Mong actually, we can see in the picture in the bottom right that he's got a vulture raid on the fourth base of Rush. So he's going to get a lot of SCVs there as well. And it looks like he's going to win this battle out here, but that drop in his main is definitely doing some damage. Oh, man, and it's got +2 and everything. That is really rough.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be the move that makes Mong leave the game, but it's starting to look pretty impossible here. He's going to come in with more of his own units. He's sieging up some of his own tanks. There's going to be some counter shots. Again, +2 tanks are so much better than +1.
Oof.
They can 2-shot tanks, whereas everything below that only it has to 3-shot them. Drops over here with the vultures. He's going to inch in again, and he's still dropping so many tanks here. It seems like the damage actually distributed very evenly on this, which let the tanks really do a lot more damage. I think, oh, okay, that's another way to do it. I thought he was going to drop on the tanks themselves, but I guess this is fine. Actually, I take it back. I would have dropped on the tanks.
I actually thought
that a lot better.
I actually thought that was a good idea. Like, I was thinking in my head that's where I would do my next drop. Hey, like, you're behind the mines and everything, so like maybe that ends up paying off. But yeah, that actually got smashed. That would have been a bad call. Finally, he's cleared that up. It's surprising how much counter damage he was able to do during all this time. It seems like the attacks with the dropships from Rush are maybe scaling down in how well they're going to do. We'll see about that, but like that last one was poor. A lot of times when they start going badly, your opponent kind of has a fix on what you're doing and will stop it. So sometimes it's good to just go back into moving around the map rather than trying to be sneaky with drops.
So, I mean, at this point in time, he doesn't have to have, you know, the best trades of all time. In fact, Mong's just going to do an all-out counterattack. Let's see what this does.
That's a lot of units.
Can't do. It's a ton. It is a ton coming at him here. But again, you know, the problem with siege tanks have when you're in mass like this is they have to kind of leapfrog forward, so something's going to be eating the shots of the other tanks.
Dude,
I guess he does have a path into the natural.
Yeah, like that sets up a really good containment. Oh, wow, his tank actually wins over there as well. If he can move up and get on top of factories here, things could change. Still 4 siege tanks in the... Oh, man, perfect targeting there.
Damn.
But look at how much damage Mong is doing. Like, Mong actually still has a little bit of potential in this game. It really looks like Rush should be able to end up finishing him, but, like, he's done a ton with that counterattack.
Yeah, I think the problem, though, is that Rush can just take the dropships he had earlier and then just pick up the tanks he has in the middle of the map and drop there.
That's a good point. Oh,
and then I think that's it.
Sickest mine ever.
Yeah.
He actually has a Wraith in there. If that Wraith was over there, those would already be cleaned. Unfortunate that he's, you know, it's such a hectic game. He's having a hard time staying on top of that. But there come in those 4 dropships you were talking about. And Rush should be able to get rid of the rest of these entrenched positions. Yeah. I think Mong is right at the end right now.
Rush is so damn good.
Yeah.
GG. Great game. You know, a lot of that just came down to the poor interaction with the 2-tank versus 2-tank Vulture on both side fight, where the tank was picked off, Mong didn't pull away in time, and the punish was real. He came in there, he got a crazy amount of kills on the SCVs. He forced it to lift off. Back at home, Rush never missed a beat. Depot's going down. Vulture's tank's coming out. SCV's being made. By the time Mong reclaimed his second base and started to remake his scanner, Rush was already on a third base. So in some ways, you know, it was an incredibly impressive fight uphill from Mong that he failed on, all because of a misstep early on. But a great series regardless, and I think we can all be happy that Rush is moving on. He is always one of the people that could take this whole thing.
Yeah, and today I think Jaedong has shown maybe he's one of those people as well now.
Right.
But yeah, the drop behind the mineral patches in the top right, that was kind of like the finishing move. Obviously, that beginning move that you talked about is what set Rush up. But getting those 4 dropships behind the minerals was so effective. Like, you look at the stats there, this is not that bad for Mong. Like, it's bad, but it's playable. You know, he's only down 9 workers. Yeah, he's down some supply, but you can get pretty cost efficient in TVT. It was this right here. It, like, as far as, like, later moments in the game, this was the most important.
Yeah, and this was just a great siege. He got here just in time. Only 1 tank, and that's RNG, by the way, where the things unload. You're trying to get them to all unload behind the minerals. They got to come out somewhere, so one of the tanks popped out on the outside. But yeah, they got a really good setup. It was a lot of work to try to get through there. And, you know, there was... I actually lost count of how many tanks Mong lost trying to reclaim this. He did not have dropships of his own, by the way, which is something that probably would have served him well.
Yeah.
You can always drop on their drops, but when you have to try to push into their drops, into the ant farm that is your base in this matchup, which is this maze you're trying to move through, it can be frustrating.
Well, that does it for the group. Here's the interview.
ASL Season20 24강 2조
And that does it for Group E of the round of 24 of ASL Season 20, as we have our second player through to the round of 16. It's Rush. Congratulations. Thank you. You are the second place finisher of Group E. How are you feeling? Just as I expected, I advanced with some difficulty, but in the round of 24 it doesn't matter much. If it's first, second place, I'm glad I managed to move on. Let's talk a little bit about the games. In the first match you showed a perfect performance that hardly anyone could find fault with. How would you rate your own performance in that first game? To some degree, I think that game went well. I researched ParalyzE's style a bit beforehand. I knew he would try to come in, so I built a command center secretly and with it baited him to attack, and it seemed like an easy win. Figuring out his opponent was a factor in that victory. In the second game your opponent was Jaedong, and in the pre-game interview you did say it wouldn't be easy. He played Mutalisks expertly. That must have stung when you suffered a defeat. What was that game like? It all started with bans and picks because I thought that he would for sure ban knockout, so I didn't practice on it at all. That put me on the back foot. I didn't play properly. It was a bit regrettable. Regardless of that unfortunate defeat, he claimed victory in the decider match where an important fight took place. After winning the 2-tank and Vulture fight, did you delay the mine upgrade on purpose? After the fight ended, I clicked it, but it didn't make. If you start it after the fight and start placing mines, it makes it so that your opponent can't come out. So the fact that my mines didn't research, the game went a bit longer. And taking that victory in the end, you succeed in advancing to the round of 16. I'm sure many people helped you prepare for today. Do you have anything to say to the players who helped you practice? I'm part of Chongsun University team, and our CEO, Park Pony, is my forever my best friend. I'm always thankful to him, and Zeus, thank you too. Thanks to my friends for cheering for me, and you know, ParalyzE is on the same team. I took revenge in his stead, and for helping me practice. 1 second, please. Hero, BTS, Snow, Noob, and Sharp. Thank you so much, and I always have the support of my family. Thanks to my lovable wife and kid. Yes, and many fans showed up to the studio to cheer for you, and likewise many are watching online. Please thank the fans too. Many people are showering me with praise on my recent improvement. Playing today, I realized there's still things I'm missing. I will practice some more and make sure that I advance to the round of 16. Always grateful for your support. Can't wait to see you play in the round of 16. And that does it for our interview with Rush. Congratulations once more. Thank you. There you have it, our interview with Rush, who advances to the round of 16.
Well, that does it, guys. Another day of ASL wrapping up here. Jaedong and Rush move on. Again, one of those groups that it's kind of who we thought was going to move on. We can be happy those players made it. I think both Jaedong and Rush are going to really add a lot of spice here to the round of 16. Sad to see Mong go. I think ParalyzE looked great, but he did look incomplete.
Yeah. He's still new to ASL. I think he'll do better in the future. Here's our lineup so far for that round of 16. 6 Zerg, 4 Protoss, 4 Terran. That's going to be all of our Protoss players. Today was our last Protoss that was able to play. Best Bisu Mini Snow. You can't really get a better 4 group than that, though. I think they're going to get pretty deep. And we're going to add, we have a couple Zergs and a couple Terrans left that are going to play. So it's hard to say exactly where this will end up. This is a good group, though. Hero versus True. I mean, I favor Hero against pretty much everyone, but True is dangerous. And then Royal versus Barracks. Normally you would think, oh, well, Royal, an ex-champion. I actually think Barracks is very good right now. I think Barracks has kind of gotten into about the top 4-ish Terrans in the world. He looked great last season. I think it's time we stop underestimating him. I think he's going to become a mainstay of the round of 16.
Yeah, he's improved a lot. I personally love casting Royals games. Very exciting to have True here, going by the ID BTS. Coming from StarCraft 2, he had a pretty exciting run previously in ASL. We're going to see how he does this time around. Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
Great group today. Really, really happy with the results. Very excited for Jaedong in the future, and can't wait for tomorrow.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Do the right thing. Sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. We'll see you tomorrow. We love you. Bye-bye.